Chapter 1728. Sihua was dumbfounded after hearing Qibing's words. He didn't notice Qibing's leg when he was sitting here. But now he realized that it was all Lin Yi's doing. Alright, it's enough that you know about it. Don't mention it again. I'll wait for Master to come and treat me. You know what to say then, right? Qibing asked. Chapter 1734. I know, Master Bing. I'll take responsibility for this myself. You're an innocent victim, Sihua said with a serious face. And not bad. Qibing nodded in satisfaction. Lin Yi pressed the doorbell. Ken was the one who'd given him the address. But he wasn't sure if it was correct or not. The buildings in this residential area didn't have numbers, and he'd had to ask around before finding this place. Soon Xiaoke's voice came from the door. Who is it? It's me, Lin Yi said. Lin Yi. Following Xiaoke's confused voice, the door was opened. Xiaoke's face was full of surprise. Why are you here? And why are you here? Xiaoke couldn't be blamed. She didn't tell Lin Yi about the orphanage, and even if Lin Yi heard about it on the news, he wouldn't be able to find his way here. Holy hall, Lin Yi, big bro, you're here. Xiao Ken ran out of the house and was very enthusiastic when he saw Lin Yi. Xiao Ken, did you tell him? Xiaoke wasn't stupid. She could guess what happened when she saw Xiao Ken and Lin Yi being so friendly. Xiaoke sis. Xiao Ken was embarrassed that Xiaoke exposed him. I just mentioned it casually, and Lin Yi big bro came to help. Casually mentioned it? He came. Xiaoke couldn't believe it. She glared at Xiao Ken. Tell me the truth, did you ask Lin Yi to help? Alright, I did, but Lin Yi big bro isn't an outsider. Xiao Ken lowered his head and mumbled. Not an outsider. Xiaoke's eyes widened. Could it be someone from the orphanage? Isn't he your boyfriend, Xiaoke sis? I was thinking, so I asked him to come. Xiao Ken said carefully. Xiaoke's face turned red. She wanted to say that, but Lin Yi wasn't her boyfriend. But saying it in front of Lin Yi hurt her self-esteem. Plus, Lin Yi was here to help. How could Xiaoke say something like that? Haha. It's not his fault, I asked to come. Lin Yi naturally knew what Xiaoke was thinking, but he didn't mind. I brought some money for you guys this time. Consider it as a solution to your urgent need. I heard that rebuilding the orphanage requires a lot of money, but I only have 8 million for now. You guys build a modern orphanage first, and plan all the necessary facilities. I'll think of a way to get the funds later. Xiaoke nodded. Wow, Lin Yi big bro, you're the best. You came just in time. Xiao Ken didn't think that Lin Yi would send 8 million at once, and it was just the initial funds. There would be more later too. He was extremely excited. He actually agreed to build a bigger orphanage as well. That way, they could take in more abandoned babies and homeless children. 8 million. Xiaoke looked at Lin Yi in shock. She couldn't understand why Lin Yi would suddenly send 8 million to the orphanage. Based on her understanding of Lin Yi, he wasn't that kind of person, was he? Was it really like what Xiao Ken said? Did Lin Yi misunderstand something? But didn't Lin Yi have a girlfriend? And he was still thinking about her? The dean of the orphanage, on the other hand, was happy to see Lin Yi's timely help. But she was also suspicious of Lin Yi's intentions. She didn't know about the male thief, so she thought that Lin Yi really had some kind of relationship with Xiaoke. It's already been transferred to the account you told me about last time, Lin Yi said. You can check, it should be in the account already. Lin Yi, you, come with me for a second. Xiaoke gritted her teeth and decided to come clean with Lin Yi. She couldn't just take advantage of Lin Yi like this, could she? She didn't like him, and some things had to be made clear. Otherwise, if he really misunderstood, how could she repay him in the future? If she didn't have a male thief in her heart, she could just do what she said before and pay him back with her body. But she already had someone in her heart, and she didn't want to betray the male thief. That was why she wanted to make things clear with Lin Yi. Oh. Lin Yi paused. He really didn't think much of it. He really wanted to do something for the orphanage. Xiaoke's actions in the tomb deeply touched Lin Yi, and that was why Lin Yi was willing to help her. He didn't want Xiaoke to have anything in return. Otherwise, wouldn't it be better to send money as the male thief? Then Xiaoke might even repay him with her body. But that wasn't Lin Yi's original intention. But Xiaoke had already turned around and left the room, so he had no choice but to follow her. Xiaoka closed the door in the corridor and stopped at the corner of the stairs. What's the matter? Lenny looked at Xiaoka oddly. Do you like me and want to please me? Xiaoka stared at Lin Yi and lowered her voice, biting her lips. Lenny paused. I like you? Please you? What are you talking about? Isn't that so? Then why are you giving us money for no reason? Xiaoka was confused by Lin Yi's reaction, but she didn't believe that Lin Yi was being nice. From her perspective, someone who did things for no reason must be hiding evil intentions. The two weren't close, and Lin Yi and the others had already done their best with that donation. There was no need for him to give them money now. Plus, the amount of money he gave this time was a lot more than the total amount he donated last time. Xiaoka couldn't help but be suspicious. To tell the truth, if it weren't for the fact that he had a deeper understanding of Xiaoka in the tomb, he wouldn't have bothered to give her money. It's all because of Xiao Qian, saying that you guys are in a difficult situation. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. What did you think? That you were thinking too much? I thought you had some ulterior motives. I have someone I like, and he's 1,000 times better than you. So if you have other motives, then don't think too much. Xiaoka sighed in relief after saying that. Lin Yi was speechless. Someone you like is 1,000 times better than me? Are you saying that I have a split personality or something? Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I know you have someone you like, and I don't like your skills. Chapter 1729. It's better if you don't like it. Xiaoka let out a breath of relief and smiled. I'm sorry, I almost misunderstood you. Are you really just here to help? Forget it, give me back my money. Lin Yi didn't want to argue with Xiaoka and tried to scare her. No, Xiaoka needed money. And as long as she knew that Lin Yi didn't have any other motives, how could a little money grubber like her give up the money so easily? I heard that you're going to take on some kind of mission? Lin Yi asked. Xiao Qian told you? Xiaoka pouted. He's quite nice to you. Don't go. I'll think of a way to get the rest of the money for you. With your level, you might not be able to come back. Lin Yi said. If there's nothing else, I'll be going. I might have to go somewhere far. Tell Xiao Qian to call me if there's anything. With that, he turned around and went downstairs. He waved goodbye to Xiaoka and didn't stay for long. Since when did Lin Yi become so caring? Xiaoka looked at Lin Yi's back, confused. But suddenly, she blinked and rubbed her eyes. Because in that instant, she realized that Lin Yi's back gave her a very familiar feeling. This feeling made her heart beat faster uncontrollably. But when Xiaoka wanted to take a closer look, Lin Yi's figure had already disappeared into the stairs of the next floor. Xiaoka couldn't see it even if she wanted to. Xiaoka shook her head, not knowing why she had this feeling. But she didn't think much about it, and quickly went back to her room. Xiaoka sis, where's Lin Yi Gich? Did he leave? Xiao Qian saw that Xiaoka came back alone and asked curiously. He's busy, so he left first. Xiaoka said. Then, did he say anything to you? Xiao Qian saw that Xiaoka's expression was very natural, as if nothing had happened between the two. He was a little disappointed. Xiao Qian saw Xiaoka as a goddess, but he knew that he wasn't good enough for her. Plus, this worship had nothing to do with love. Only a powerful person like Lin Yi could take good care of Sister Xiaoka. So Xiao Qian was very optimistic about Lin Yi. The key was that he had promised Lin Yi to keep it a secret and not reveal his identity. Sister Xiaoka didn't seem to like Lin Yi very much, so Xiao Qian was anxious, but he couldn't say it directly, so he could only ask vaguely. Say what? Xiaoka looked at the worried expression on Qian's face and felt suspicious. I say, Qian, is there some secret between you and Lin Yi? What did he say to you? No. Qian shook his head determinedly. He'd promised Lin Yi that he wouldn't divulge anything. He was a man, so he naturally had to keep his word. Takidara. Then why are you asking me what he said to me, and what he did? What do you know? Xiaoka still didn't believe him. Actually, I think that Lin Yi bro is a good guy. That male thief is too vague for you, Xiaoka sis. Lin Yi bro is more practical, right in front of you. Xiao Qian said. Anyways, I support you and Lin Yi bro being together. What do you know, kid? Xiaoka said helplessly. Plus, Lenny didn't mean that. He just wanted to do something good out of kindness. He has a girlfriend, so don't think too much. Oh, Xiaoqian had no choice but to keep his mouth shut. He thought that he should say some good things about Lin Yi to Xiaoqian in the future. It would be useful. Just when the orphanage was celebrating with a large sum of money, the dean was a little worried. Xiaoqia had explained that Lin Yi was just doing a good deed. But from the old dean's perspective, there was something fishy about this whole thing. Lin Yi's 8 million was a little too much. Even the dean couldn't believe that Lin Yi didn't have any ulterior motives. But Xiaoqia said it with certainty, and Lin Yi didn't seem to have any ulterior motives. Could it be that he was thinking too much? But no matter what, they had money now. It was a good thing. Tomorrow, the dean could hire a design company to study the construction of the orphanage. Lin Yi had just left Xiaoqia's place when his phone rang. He thought it was Tang Yun and the others, but it was Ling Shan. Shanshan? You're back in Songshan? Lin Yi was a little surprised. Yeah, I just came back. I still have work to do here. And I can't stay at the house all the time. Ling Shan paused, her tone a little weird. Plus, I was kicked out. Grandpa told me to meet up with you in Songshan. Meet up with me? Lin Yi blinked. Why do you want to meet up with me? I want to pursue you. Do I have to make it so clear? Ling Shan was a little troubled. Grandpa thinks of you as the hope of our family's rise, and he wants me to stick to you. Huh? Then are you annoyed? Lin Yi didn't know what to say. Of course not, I've always liked you. Ling Shan was the bolder type, admitting whatever she had. She wasn't shy at all. Let's not talk about that. You called to tell me that you're back? Lin Yi wanted to contact Tang Yun and the others as soon as possible, so he didn't have time to chat with Ling Shan. No, I haven't been here for a few days, and I've got a few cases backlog. Can you help me? Ling Shan said. I knew you wouldn't call me for anything good. Using me as free labor? I'll be going out for a few days, so I don't have time. Lin Yi said. Help me please. Ling Shan's tone was a little coy as she said to Lin Yi. I really have a lot of cases to take care of, and I can't handle all of them. Can you help me with one? Tell me about it. Lin Yi couldn't take it anymore. Recently, there's a new gang active in Songshan. They're using street kids and kidnapped children to steal. But on the surface, they're just street performers. I can't do anything to them, because I don't have any evidence. Aren't you close with Yu Xiaoqia? Can you ask the orphanage if there's any news about it? Ling Shan and Xiaoqia weren't on good terms. She knew that Xiaoqia was a thief for the orphanage, so she let her off the hook. However, Ling Shan didn't want to approach her proactively, so she could only ask Lin Yi for help. Chapter 1730. After all, the orphanage should have had contact with the kidnappers before. These small gangs would buy some orphans from illegal orphanages to help them commit crimes. Of course, Xiaoqia wouldn't do something like that, but these people might have had contact with Xiaoqia before. Oh, okay, I'll keep an eye out for you, Lin Yi said. But it's hard to say if there's any news. Okay, thank you so much. Contact me if there's any news, Ling Shan said. Lin Yi shook his head and hung up. As expected, Tang Yun's call came in as soon as he hung up. Enin, where are you guys? I'm done here. I'll come find you guys? Lin Yi asked. Lin Yi, we're at the supermarket we always go to. Tang Yun said. I want to buy Grandpa Lin a present, but I don't know what to get. What do you think I should get? For him? There's no need for that, right? Lin Yi and old Lin didn't have much of a relationship, and he hadn't bought anything for him all these years. In fact, Lin Yi didn't have much money in his pocket, and other than some living expenses, he gave the rest to old Lin. Holy Hall, how can I do that? Mom said that I need to buy something when I'm meeting an elder for the first time. Tang Yun thought that if someone as stingy as her mom said that, then it had to be a very important etiquette. Then let's buy a few bottles of erguotu, Lin Yi said after some thought. Old Lin loved drinking, but he couldn't bear to buy it. He always brewed his own wine, and only when he ran out of wine would he go to Widow Wang's store and buy a bottle of erguotu to satisfy his craving. But to be honest, old Lin's medical skills were great, but his brewing skills weren't that great. The alcohol he brewed wasn't high, and so he preferred erguotu. He used to compete with Lin Yi in drinking, But Linny couldn't get drunk after 1,000 cups. So he said, "It's a waste for you to drink ergotu. Drink some water with me." Ergotu? Tang Yin paused. She knew that this kind of alcohol was cheap. Her father used to drink ergotu by himself when his leg was broken, so it couldn't be expensive. Wasn't it a little inappropriate to give it to an elder? Yeah, buy a box for him. He likes to drink ergotu and eat fennel beans the most. Linny said, "If you buy other foreign wines, he won't be used to it." Oh, alright then. Hearing Lin Yi's determination, Tang Yin could only nod and agree. "Wait for me, I'll go find you." Lin Yi went downstairs and drove to the supermarket. At the same time, in the cafeteria, Jiang Wen was eating with a bitter face, and Mingyue was helping him. And Mingyue couldn't bear to let his son eat alone, so he ate with him. If it wasn't for the fact that Jiang Wen was afraid of being filmed, he would have smashed the plate and left already. But if this was really put on display, his name as the Songshan young master would have been humiliated. "Dad, how was it? Did it go well?" Jiang Wen tried to find a topic to talk about as he ate. "Very well." And Mingyue said, "That hypnotist is really good. Pengzhan believes everything I say. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have been able to invite Pengzhan out so easily. I didn't expect him to be able to hypnotize people over the phone." "Haha, of course. That's a powerful person the vice leader sent to help me get money. He's very powerful along with Professor Yin and the others. They're all core members of the Firewolves," Jiang Wen said proudly. "He can even hypnotize an idiot, let alone a normal person like Pengzhan." "Jiang Wen, your position in the Firewolves has already surpassed mine. You've done well. Who knows? You might even be able to enter the core of the Firewolves in the future. If that happens, our house and will have a bright future ahead of us." And Mingyue praised. And Mingyue really didn't know what to say about this son of hers. He was much braver than Njianda, and the things he did seemed to be impulsive and stupid. But every time he did something, he would get huge amounts of money for the Firewolves. And Mingyue didn't know what to say. "But if you let the hypnotist and Professor Yin do private things for us, would they have any objections?" And Mingyue lowered his voice and asked, "Them? I'm in front of them right now, and my words carry weight. I need to get some benefits for my house when I'm doing things for the Firewolves." Jiang Wen shook his head and said proudly, "I'm resting now, and they have nothing better to do. Even if the Firewolves find out, they won't say anything. My contribution to the Firewolves is hundreds of times more than the others." "That's true." And Mingyue sighed. His son had the right to be proud now. He could use all the core resources of the Firewolves, and it showed how much the Firewolves valued him. What he said wasn't wrong. While earning money for the Firewolf gang, earning some money for his own family was nothing. "This time, I need to make sure that Pengzhan has nowhere else to go. That's the only way I can make Mingyao marry me." Jiang Wen's eyes burned with desire as he thought about it. "Jiang Wen, with your current status and power, what kind of girl can't you get? Why are you so obsessed with Mingyao?" And Mingyue didn't understand what his son was thinking. Although House Chu had Lin Yi behind them, and they looked powerful, and Mingyue didn't really care about them. They were just a noble house. And Mingyue didn't think much of them even though they were a hidden noble house. As far as he was concerned, Mingyao was just a poor young miss after he took over Pengzhan's businesses. Was there a need for Jiang Wen to care about her so much? "Father, you don't understand. It's a childhood obsession," Jiang Wen said. "If I can't get Mingyao, I'll always regret it. Maybe after I get her, I'll think that it's nothing. But if I can't get her, I'll never be satisfied." "Alright, if you want to do it, then do it. You're all grown up now. You know what you're doing." And Mingyue stopped trying to stop him. "Right. Make sure you do a clean job on taking over Pengzhan Industries. Don't let House Chu know about it. I don't want to be the bad guy and make Mingyao hate me," Jiang Wen said. "I want her body, and her heart. Don't worry. I'm a veteran in the business world. I can handle things like this. Plus, with the help of a hypnotist, there won't be a problem." And Mingyue said, "That's good." Jiang Wen nodded in relief. "Right, I heard that big bro of mine isn't satisfied and came back to work." Chapter 1731. Jinda? Yes, he's back. And Mingyue sighed and said, he always felt that he was the one who laid the foundation for the business you took over. He felt that the glory you have now should belong to him. So he was not satisfied, so he applied to the Fire Wolves gang and came back from the border. He wanted to be like you and use these methods to make money. His courage. Jiang Wen curled his lips. It's fine if he's a coward, but he's not smart either. I don't know why the Firewolves agreed to let him come back. His contributions to the Firewolves weren't small, but of course, compared to yours, it's much smaller. And Mingyue said, of course, he came back to work just to take care of his emotions. As for assistants, they won't give him any powerful people. I think he wants to fight with me for the position of the head of Housen, right? Jiang Wen seemed to have seen through Njianda's thoughts. He's the big brother, of course, it's not surprising. And Mingyue said, but you don't have to care about him, just do your own thing. The Firewolves aren't idiots, they know who's stronger. I understand, Jiang Wen nodded. I'm just saying, let him do what he wants. Linny drove to the supermarket, and Linny saw Mingyue's Audi S5 in the parking lot. He parked beside her car and entered the supermarket. Saints Hall Lin Yi was very good at finding people, and so he quickly found Tang Yun and the others who were buying ergo. Yun, you don't need to buy that much, right? Linny didn't know whether to laugh or cry when he saw Tang Yun buying 2 boxes of ergo. Actually, the village sells it too. It's just a token of your sincerity, 1 box is enough. Linny said as he put 1 box back. I see, I was thinking of buying more. Tang Yun was a little embarrassed. Are you guys done? Linny asked. Yeah, almost. Mingyue pointed at Chen Tian, who was pushing 2 full carts. I've bought everything I need. Linny took a look and saw Chen Tian pushing a cart with each hand. It was fortunate that the guy was a practitioner. Otherwise normal people wouldn't even be able to push a cart. He didn't know how Mingyue and the others managed to get there. But the things in the cart were piled up like a small mountain. It's just a vacation. You don't have to be so exaggerated, right? Linny said helplessly. Let's go. Let's go and settle the bill. Thief. There's a thief. Just when Lin Yi and the others were about to pay the bill, Yushu pointed at a pregnant woman not too far away. She's a thief. She stole 2 bottles of red wine. Lin Yi frowned. He didn't want to get involved in this kind of thing. The supermarket's security would take care of it, and Xiaoke was a thief as well. Maybe the pregnant woman had something she couldn't disclose, so Lin Yi didn't want to get involved. Chapter 333. But with Yushu's shout, they had no choice but to take care of it. All the customers around them turned to look at the direction Yushu was pointing at, and the supermarket's security came running over after hearing the shout. Shu, is she really a thief? Did you see it? Mingyue was actually quite a righteous person, but she hesitated when she saw that the thief was a pregnant woman. Wouldn't it be difficult for a pregnant woman to steal things? Where's the thief? Who is the thief? At this time, the security guard in the mall also quickly ran over, looked at the crowd and asked. No one answered, but everyone's eyes were on the pregnant woman near the wine rack. They were here to watch the commotion, and they didn't see the theft. Naturally, they wouldn't say anything. It's her. I saw her steal 2 bottles of wine. Yushu pointed at the pregnant woman. The security guard frowned. This kind of pregnant woman thief was their biggest headache, and they didn't know how to deal with it. If they were not careful and something happened, it would be a big deal. Not only would they lose their jobs, but they would also have to pay for it. So the leader of the security was very cautious, and he said to the others, Don't let her leave, I'll call the police immediately. But before they could say anything, the pregnant woman turned around and wanted to leave. Ma'am, you can't leave yet. Please wait for the police to come, okay? One of the security stopped the pregnant woman and said carefully, Why can't I leave? Why? Because she called me a thief? The pregnant woman was angry, and she pointed at Yushu and said, Then I called her a thief too. I only have this small purse with me. Where am I going to steal anything? The security was speechless, and he didn't know what to do. Ouch, my stomach hurts. The pregnant woman suddenly held her stomach and said, Is this how you treat a pregnant woman in the supermarket? I'm going to the hospital, move. The security looked at the security captain helplessly. The security captain also looked at Yushu with a troubled look. If he really lost something in this supermarket, and he let the suspect go, the boss would definitely blame him. But if he didn't let her go now, it'd be troublesome if something happened. Moreover, looking at the price of the wine on the shelf behind her, they were all measured in units of 10,000. If she really stole it, he wouldn't be able to bear the responsibility. She's pregnant, but she has 2 bottles of wine in her stomach. Yushu pointed at the pregnant woman and said, "Uft." The people at the scene heard Yushu's words, and they almost burst into laughter. So this pregnant woman was fake, and she hid the wine in her stomach? No wonder she said that she only had a small purse with her, and nothing else. So this was the reason. "Ma'am, can you open your clothes and have a look?" The security captain heard Yushu's words, and he calmed down. Normally, if people weren't sure, they wouldn't be so confident. My stomach hurts, it hurts so much." The pregnant woman suddenly lay on the ground, her hands covering her stomach, and then she shouted, Wife, what's wrong?" At this time, a man with a scar on his face ran out from the crowd, pushed the security captain away, and hugged the pregnant woman lying on the ground, and shouted to the security captain, "My wife needs to be sent to the hospital immediately. I'll sue your supermarket. If anything happens to my wife, I'll sue you for murder." The security captain didn't expect that another pregnant woman's husband would come and say such harsh words, which made him hesitate. It wasn't easy for him to do this job. He was sandwiched between the boss and the customer, so when he heard the man's words, he flinched. Chapter 1732. Lenny frowned. He didn't want to waste any more time here. So he quickly walked to the pregnant woman and lifted the hem of her clothes. He took out a big bag, and the pregnant woman's belly deflated. He opened the big bag, and it was filled with famous cigarettes and alcohol, worth hundreds of thousands. Lenny was a doctor, and it was easy for him to tell if the woman was pregnant or not. Since he was sure that she wasn't, he didn't need to spoil her. "So it's fake. There's a bag in her belly." The crowd said, "Yeah, this woman is actually pregnant with famous cigarettes and wine. This is really amazing. Whoever finds such a wife will be rich." Another person in the crowd said with a smile, Please come with us to the security room." The security captain saw this and wasn't afraid anymore. Even if the pregnant woman was fake, there wouldn't be a problem. However, just when everyone was cheering, the man who claimed to be the pregnant woman's husband disappeared. When the security captain wanted to invite the man to the security room, he realized that the man had already left. Although Lenny saw that the man had left, he didn't stop him. He had done enough. The group paid the bill and went to the parking lot. They loaded the things they bought into the car. And just as they closed the door, they were surrounded by a few people. Since the parking lot was open air, and there were no surveillance cameras, these people were very unscrupulous. "Guys, you've done a good job, and now you want to leave?" Among these people, the leader was the man who claimed to be the pregnant woman's husband. Behind him were 2 strong men, and it was obvious that they weren't good people. In terms of numbers, there were 2 men and 3 women on Lin Yi's side. It seemed like they had the advantage, but in fact, there were 2 strong men on Scarface's side. In terms of size, they obviously had an advantage over Lin Yi and Wu Chintian. "There's still a bonus if we don't leave." Lin Yi asked. "Bonus? Are you dreaming? You ruined my good thing, and you still want a bonus?" Scarface sneered and stopped joking with Lin Yi. Land Rover Discovery 4, Audi S5. "Not bad. You're quite rich, aren't you? Today, you've caused me to lose more than 100,000 yuan. My wife has also lost her life. Don't you think you should give me some compensation? Your wife pretended to be pregnant and stole, and you still want compensation? Why are you so dumb?" Yushu said, "Shield bro, ignore him, let's go home." "That's true. Let's go." Lin Yi shrugged, and was about to get into the car. "Kid, do you think I'm messing with you? Get in the car. I'm telling you, I'm going to detain your car. If you don't get 200,000, no 500,000 yuan, don't even think about driving your car back." As Scarface spoke, He winked at a burly man beside him and said, "Teach them a lesson." "Yes," one of the burly men responded and then laughed. He took a brick from behind him and said to Lin Yi, "Kid, I think you have too little experience in society. You don't know how high the sky is." As he spoke, he held the brick in his left hand and punched it with his right fist. With a loud bang, the brick shattered. "Kid, before you leave, think about it. Is your head harder or the brick harder?" The burly man who broke the brick patted the dust off his hand and said arrogantly, "Shield bro, is this person a street performer? Why does he look like those people who break rocks on their chests?" Yushu asked curiously. "I think so. Otherwise, who would bring a brick out for no reason?" Lin Yi nodded. "Oh, then I'll give you 10 yuan. You've been working hard, performing for so long." Yushu said as she took out 10 yuan from her pocket and gave it to the burly man. "I think you guys don't know how high the sky is, do you?" The burly man's face darkened when he heard Yushu's words. He was indeed a street performer, and Yushu hit the nail on the head. "Wu Chintian, you tell him whose fist is harder," Lin Yi said as he looked at Chintian. "Okay, boss." Chintian couldn't hold it in any longer, but he didn't dare to do anything without Lin Yi's permission. Now that Lin Yi had spoken, he jumped out immediately and walked to the triangular hammer beside the parking lot. He raised his fist and smashed it down, and the solid hammer was smashed into a metal plate. After that, Chintian shook off the dust on his hands. "Idiot, trying to act tough in front of my boss? Think about it first. Is your head harder, or is this iron all harder?" Wah! The burly man and Scarface were dumbfounded. They never would have thought that they would meet a tough opponent today. They were just punching a brick, but the other side was smashing a metal plate into a metal plate. It was clear who was better. "Get the hell out of here, if you don't want to die." "What the hell?" Chintian humphed and returned to Lin Yi's side. "Let's go." Lin Yi didn't bother with Scarface anymore and got in the Rover. Chintian got in Mengyao's Audi S5, but Tang Yin, Mengyao, and Yushu all sat in Lin Yi's car. The two cars sped away in front of Scarface, leaving him staring at the metal plate on the ground in disbelief. "Scarface bro, this seems real. This metal plate really was smashed into a metal plate," the burly man said in shock as he looked at the metal plate on the ground. "Bullshit, of course I know it's real," Scarface raged. "Do you think I'd let them leave if it wasn't real?" "Then now the burly man asked carefully. "Fuck, we had a bad start. Let's go back and think of a way to explain to Debro sent us out to get money. But we didn't get any money. Instead, we got caught in the supermarket, and now we're being threatened," Scarface said unhappily. Lin Yi didn't mind this little interlude. After returning to the villa, everyone started to get busy. They packed the things they bought, and some daily necessities. Most of them were going to be mailed back, and only a small amount was left in the car. The next morning, after they mailed the things, they started their journey. Lin Yi originally wanted to find some tourist attractions along the way, but Tang Yin and the others seemed to want to get to Star West Village first. They weren't interested in the tourist attractions, so Lin Yi chose the shortest route and went straight to Star West Village. Chapter 1733. Distinguished guests arrive on the day Lin Yi departed. The Kong family also welcomed two uninvited guests. Kong Guifeng looked at the two strangers in front of his house and was a little confused. He didn't know who they were, but judging from their temperament, they were very extraordinary. So Kong Guifeng didn't dare to neglect them. He quickly asked, "May I ask, why are you two visiting our Kong family? Are you from the Kong family?" Among the two, one of them was obviously a follower and asked Kong Guifeng. "Yes, I am the eldest son of the Kong family, Kong Guifeng. May I ask who you two are?" Kong Guifeng asked hesitantly. "This is the young master of the Hidden Yu family, Yu Zhentian. Why aren't you opening the door and letting the master of the Kong family come out to welcome you?" The follower looked at Kong Guifeng and said arrogantly, "Ah, Hidden Yu family?" Kong Guifeng was a little dumbfounded when he heard this name. Within his range of contact, the families in the secular world were already unreachable. But the hidden families were as high as the sky. Although he knew about the hidden families, he had only heard of them. He had never come into contact with them. At this time, a hidden family suddenly came to visit. This made Kong Guifeng a little lost. However, he knew that the hidden families were superior to the Kong family. Third, you don't be so blunt. Although we are a hidden family, Master King's seniority is there. There's no need to let him come out to welcome us. Yu Zhentian waved his hand and said, the hidden Yu family came this time to cooperate with the Kong family, so they wouldn't be too arrogant. How can we do that? Both of you are from a hidden family. I will let someone open the door, and let my father come out to welcome the two distinguished guests. Kong Guifeng knew that Yu Zhentian was probably just being polite, so he didn't dare to neglect him. He quickly ordered a few servants at the door to open the door, and quickly called Dr. Kong. Dr. Kong didn't have a good time these few days. He couldn't compete for the title of a noble family. Not only that, but the Kong family had been completely excluded from the sphere of influence of the noble families. In the territory of the member families of the Cultivator Association led by Lin Yi, the Kong family's business would probably have a hard time. He previously wanted to cooperate with the Xiao family and form an alliance with the Hidden Pai family, but he didn't know if they would take a liking to the Kong family. Miracle Dr. Kang's phone rang as he was worrying about it. Hello? Miracle Dr. Kong snapped out of his daze and quickly picked up the phone. This was his private number, and only House Xiao and his own people knew about it. So Miracle Dr. Kong took it very seriously. Father, I'm Guifeng. Guifeng said. Guifeng? Why didn't you tell me? Why are you calling from home? Dr. Kong was confused. Father, there are two distinguished guests at home. Bring your brother and the younger generation, and come out to welcome them. Kong Guifeng said hurriedly. Although Yu Zhentian was polite, he could not give him face. What distinguished guests? Do I have to welcome them? Could it be the two brothers from the Xiao family are here? Dr. Kong was stunned. After all, the two brothers from the Xiao family were the younger generation. But no matter how poor the Xiao family was, they still had the support of the Hidden Pai family. The Kong family had nothing. It's the young master of the Hidden Yu family, Kong Guifeng said. What? The Hidden Yu family? Dr. Kong jumped up from his chair. He didn't expect that someone from a hidden house would come to the Kong family. He said hurriedly, Okay, wait for me. I'll be right there. Dr. Kong hurriedly found Kong Tsuepu, Kong Xiaolong and Kong Mingming. They came to the entrance of House Kong and saw two people with extraordinary auras talking to Kong Guifeng. Distinguished guests, I am the master of House Kong, Kong Like I. Distinguished guests, please. Dr. Kong heard that they were from a hidden house, so naturally, he was very respectful. Master Kong, you don't have to be so polite. We are from the Hidden Yu family. We also research medicine in the hidden house. We are in the same industry. Yu Zhentian smiled. Elder Kong, please. Haha, compared to you, we are just small fries. How is this medicine research? Dr. Kong heard the kindness in Yu Zhentian's words and was very excited. It seemed that the Hidden Yu family came for a good thing. The few of them came to the Kong family's living room. Yu Third introduced Yu Zhentian. Dr. Kong was even more excited. So it's the young master of House Yu. My apologies for not recognizing you. I heard that House Yu is a medical family that specializes in alchemy. It's a great honor for us to have you as a guest. Old Clan Head Kong. We've come this time around for a certain matter. Yu Zhentian waved his hand. You don't have to be so polite. We came here with the intention of learning. Young Master Yu, you're too kind. Just tell us what you want. Dr. Kong heard Yu Zhentian's tone and was flattered. It's like this, Yu Zhentian said. Our hidden house Yu has a good relationship with the hidden house Pai. And we've received news from him that your house Kong is researching the recipe for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. Have you made any progress? Pill of life extension and toxin cleansing? Dr. Kong paused. He immediately understood why House Yu was here. They were here for the recipe for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. No wonder they were so polite. However, Dr. Kong knew that he couldn't speak carelessly in front of a hidden family. He could only tell the truth. There is indeed such a thing, but the recipe. We're not researching it, we're stealing it. Stealing? What do you mean? Yu Zhentian paused. I'm sure you know about House Yu's auction, young master Yu? Dr. Kong asked. Auction? What auction? Yu Zhentian didn't quite understand Dr. Kang's words. Yu Zhentian's answer surprised Dr. Kong as well. From what he could see, the hidden house you didn't know about House Yu's auction? In reality, the hidden house you had never paid attention to the mundane world's matters. The 9 great houses in the mundane world didn't have much contact with the hidden houses, either. Other than the mundane house Yu and the hidden house Yu. Even the Xiao family only recently contacted House Pai. So it was normal that the hidden house Yu didn't pay attention to the mundane world's auction. It's like this. Dr. Kong saw that Yu Zhentian really didn't know, so he didn't hide it. He told Yu Zhentian everything about how Guan Xueming had made the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. So you're saying that you're going to steal Guan Xueming's recipe? Yu Zhentian frowned. He seemed to have found the wrong partner. He should have gone straight to Guan Xueming. The prequel of Very Pure, Very Ambiguous contains the origin of Lin Yi's jade. Chapter 1734. Two Families Working Together Part 1. Yes, House Kong has this plan. And it's in progress. Dr. Kong nodded and pointed at Kong Ming. This matter has always been handled by my grandson Zhao Ming. Oh, if that's the case, then we'll have to trouble you, old Master Kong. Yu Zhentian heard that Dr. Kong didn't have the formula, so he didn't have the mood to talk to them anymore. His next step was to ask Guan Xueming for the formula. Dr. Kong saw that Yu Zhentian was about to leave and panicked. It wasn't easy for House Kong to find a backer. If he were to leave just like that, he would regret it to death. Young Master Yu, please wait. At this moment, Kong Ming spoke. Is there anything else? Yu Zhentian frowned and turned his head to look at Kong Xiaoming. He didn't put a junior in his eyes, but he did come with courtesy. Although he didn't get anything, it didn't hurt to be polite when he left. Young Master Yu, may I ask if you want to ask Guan Xueming for the formula? Kong Ming asked. So what if I am? Yu Zhentian asked back. Young Master Yu, you don't know Guan Xueming's personality. If we could get the formula, we would have asked for it a long time ago. Kong Ming said. Guan Xueming is a person who doesn't listen to persuasion or force. He doesn't seek fame or fortune. House Yu once wanted to make Guan Xueming's family a noble house, but he rejected it. Do you think he would give the formula to such a person directly? Oh, Yu Zhentian wasn't an idiot. He understood the meaning behind Kong Ming's words. He turned around and sat down again. He asked, in your opinion, how should I get this formula? It seemed like House Kong had tried before. Since they didn't succeed, Yu Zhentian might not succeed even if he asked for it. Since Guan Xueming didn't seek fame and fortune, he definitely wouldn't care about the benefits promised by the hidden Yu family. Hence, Yu Zhentian sat down again to see what Kong Ming had to say. Actually, young master, right? If you force him with force, he might hand over the formula. Kong Ming said. That won't do. I'll use force to force him to hand over the recipe. If the Hidden House Association finds out, they'll definitely come after us. Yu Zhentian shook his head. Although the Hidden House Arbitration Association was in danger of collapsing at any time, no one wanted to be the one to test the waters. All the hidden families knew that the great elder of the Arbitration Association had disappeared for many years, but no one knew where he had gone or if he would ever return. Back then, it was said that he made contact with those missing heaven-rank powerhouses and then went to pursue the heavenly law. However, did he disappear with those missing heaven-rank powerhouses? Or did he fail in his pursuit of the heavenly law? Or, these were all shrouded in mystery. Currently, the Hidden House Arbitration Association was managed by each hidden family and sect with an elder from each family. It was just that each family supervised each other together. But now, each family had thoughts of breaking this rule, but they were afraid that the great elder would suddenly return. Hence, they were all waiting for some hidden family or sect to take the lead and see if the great elder would appear. Hence, under these circumstances, The Hidden You family wasn't a fool. Even with the support of the Heavenly Elixir sect, they wouldn't dare to take the lead. In his opinion, whoever wanted to do it could do it. Anyway, the Hidden You family wasn't a fool. That's why I said that only our Kong family can be the villain. You Hidden You family can only do it in the dark, not in the open. Otherwise, there'll be trouble. Kong Ming had vaguely heard Xiao Wangba and Xiao Wangdao talk about the Hidden family's rules when they were bragging, so he deliberately said that just now. His goal was to prevent the Hidden You family from leaving. Since Yu Jintian could become the young master, he naturally wasn't someone to be trifled with. After hearing Kong Ming's words, he understood what he meant. If you want the formula, the best way is to cooperate with the Kong family. If you don't cooperate with us, then you'll have to be the villain. I'm afraid you'll attract the blame of the Hidden House Arbitration Association. Then, the gains won't make up for the losses. Of course, Yu Jintian could also choose to cooperate with others, one in the open and one in the dark. But with a ready-made partner like the Kong family, he didn't need to waste time looking for others. Thinking of this, Yu Jintian slowly nodded. What you mean is that your Kong family will be in the open, while our Hidden You family will help you in the dark. Of course, all the conflicts will be borne by your Kong family, while we only need to do things in the dark. Is that right? That's right. Kong Ming nodded. I actually have a good plan here, but I haven't had a suitable candidate to execute it. If young Master Yu is willing, our two families are a match made in heaven. We'll definitely be able to get the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing's formula this time. Let's talk about it. But let's make this clear first. We can provide manpower, but you definitely can't tell anyone about our Hidden You family's activities in the common world. Yu Jintian warned. Otherwise, even if the Yu family is blamed, you won't have it any better. Young Master Yu, don't worry. If we're so insensible, we wouldn't be talking about cooperating with you. Kong Ming nodded. All right then, tell me your plan. Yu Jintian asked. Dr. Kong didn't expect that the Yu family that was about to leave would be turned around by Kong Ming with just a few words. He was overjoyed and looked at Kong Ming with even more fondness. He really didn't know that this grandson of his was such a talent. The few times when House Kong was in trouble, it was all because of Kong Ming's good ideas. Hence, Dr. Kong increasingly felt that Kong Ming was better than Kong Xiaolong. Although Kong Guifeng didn't feel good, he had to admit that Kong Ming's ability was better than his. No matter what, he was able to make the Hidden You family stay and cooperate with the Kong family. That was a great ability. That Guan Shuamin is unmoved by force or persuasion, and he doesn't seek fame or fortune. It can be said that he has no weakness. Kong Ming said. But I know his weakness. Oh, what is it? Unknowingly, Yu Jintian was led by the nose by Kong Ming's thoughts. That's his granddaughter, Guan Xian. Guan Shuamin loves this granddaughter very much. If we kidnap her and ask for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing from Guan Shuamin will definitely give it to us. Kong Ming had this idea for a long time, but he didn't dare to carry it out. Now that the Hidden You family was here, he could let them do it. Oh, that simple? Then your Kong family can do it yourself. Why would you need to cooperate with the Hidden You family? Yu Jintian wasn't stupid and immediately saw the problem. Hashtag. Chapter 1735. Between the Two Families, Part 2. Young Master Yu is wise. Kong Ming flattered without leaving a trace, then said, Our Kong family doesn't have any cultivators, but Guan Shuamin has a good relationship with a cultivator. That cultivator has the strength of an Earth-class early phase. We don't have any experts in our hands, so how would we dare to kidnap him? Isn't that courting death? Oh, Guan Shuamin has an Earth-class early phase cultivator friend? After Yu Jintian heard Kong Ming's words, he was stunned. He didn't expect Guan Shuamin to be so arrogant to have such a friend. But come to think of it, although the Hidden You family was a family of medicine and alchemy, they knew the importance of medicine and alchemy in a hidden family, and the Hidden You family also recruited many experts to their side. But the key problem was that Guan Xuemin was just an ordinary doctor. It wasn't surprising that he had a few golden class friends, but it was difficult to have a mystic class, let alone an earth class. Yes, that's why we didn't dare to act rashly. Kong Mingming nodded and said. Earth class expert. Yu Xintian frowned. When did an earth class expert appear in the secular world? And Guan Xuemin's friend? Could it be someone from another hidden family? If that was the case, then it would be difficult. If he really went against Guan Xuemin and offended the other hidden families, wouldn't he be making an enemy for no reason? Kong Mingming seemed to see through Yu Xintian's worry and quickly said, that earth-class expert is called Lin Yi. He's a lone cultivator with no background, so you don't have to worry, young master Yu. What? Lin Yi? Yu Xintian was stunned. Why was this name so familiar? But in the next moment, he immediately remembered who this person was. Wasn't this the person who injured Yu Coiling Tiger, crippled the blue-haired expert of the family, and caused a ruckus in the hidden Tang family? If Kong Mingming didn't mention this name, Yu Xintian might have retreated a little. But when he heard that it was Lin Yi, Yu Xintian's eyes burned with anger. If it wasn't for Lin Yi, the envoy from the Heavenly Elixir sect wouldn't have been humiliated. Yu Xintian wasn't blamed by the Heavenly Elixir sect, because the envoy was too embarrassed to tell them that he was humiliated. But in order to appease the envoy, the hidden Yu Xintian had paid a huge price and privately gave the envoy a lot of money and rare alchemy materials. And this Lin Yi was the Yu family's greatest enemy. When Yu Xintian heard that Guan Xueming's backer was Lin Yi, he was even more confident in dealing with Guan Xueming. Why, young master Yu, do you know this person? Kong Mingming was confused by Yu Xintian's reaction. Hehe, of course we know each other. We are enemies. Yu Xintian sneered and said. We can hide the fact that the Yu family is involved in this matter, but you must keep it a secret for us. Don't let the news get out. If anything happens, we will say that the Kong family did it. Can you agree? Yu Xintian had more considerations. First, he was afraid of being blamed by the hidden Tang family's arbitration association. Second, Lin Yi was related to the Ice Palace. Although the hidden Yu family had a backer, it was best not to cause any trouble. Of course, Kong Xiaoming didn't even think about it. House Kong had already fallen out with Lin Yi, so he didn't care about anything else. They could use this opportunity to show Lin Yi Kong family's strength. Lin Yi Kong family also had experts. This was Kong Mingming's intention. He couldn't wait for the Kong family to be in the limelight, because this was the only way to defeat Lin Yi in a dominant manner. Only then could they show the other members of the Cultivator Association that the Kong family was very powerful. What about old Master Kong? Yu Xintian turned to look at Dr. Kong. Of course, Xiaoming's intention is our Kong family's intention. Dr. Kong had the same thought as Kong Mingming. He couldn't wait for others to think this was the Kong family's doing. Only then could they establish their authority. All right. If that's the case, the Yu family will send experts. Yu Xintian nodded. But I can't show up. That's not a problem. But the experts that young Master Yu sends have to listen to my command. Otherwise, it'll be hard for me to do things. Kong Mingming said. All right, our men are all under your command. I only want results. Yu Xintian didn't care about this. He let Kong Mingming do whatever he wanted as long as it didn't implicate the Yu family. All right, can you send a heaven stage expert? That way we can suppress Lin Yi. Kong Mingming said. I'm afraid that won't work. Yu Xintian rejected Kong Mingming's suggestion. The number of heaven stage experts in the hidden family level is limited. If something happens, it's easy to guess who did it. Moreover, with the Kong family's current strength, do you think it's possible for you to have a heaven stage expert? Even if you say it out, no one will believe it. They will definitely suspect that there's an inside story. Then, Kong Mingming was a little disappointed. He wanted to control a heaven stage expert. Lin Yi is an earth stage early stage expert. Sigh, this is a little difficult. Yu Xintian pondered for a while and said, Earth stage experts are rare in the secular world. They almost don't exist. It's already strange that the Kong family has one. Moreover, the higher the level of strength, the easier it is to be suspected. How about this? We'll send an Earth stage middle stage expert to help you. This way, he'll be 2 levels higher than Lin Yi and can completely defeat him. That's fine too. Although Kong Ming didn't reach his expectations, Yu Jintian was right. Who would believe that the Kong family had a heaven stage expert? As for why there's an Earth stage expert, you can think of a reason to make it up. Don't involve our hidden Yu family, Yu Jintian said. Of course, Kong Ming nodded. All right, then it's settled. I'll go back and find a suitable candidate and send him over, Yu Jintian said and prepared to leave. Wait a minute. Kong Ming stopped Yu Jintian again. Young Master Kong, is there anything else? Yu Jintian's attitude towards Kong Ming was much better this time. He realized that this kid had a lot of tricks up his sleeves, so he gave him some face. Young Master Yu, this matter has been discussed. Then shouldn't we talk about whether our Kong family helped you hide the Yu family and did such a big thing? Are there any benefits? Kong Ming had recently read a few black-bellied books. Although he was still a playboy, the way he handled things was much better than before. Oh, our Yu family is secretly helping you. When we get the formula, we'll both have a share. What's wrong with that? Yu Jintian asked. The formula isn't some other treasure. Can't we just make another copy? Hashtag. Chapter 1736. Sun Jingyi's worries, that's true. But in the end, our Kong family might not be able to refine this formula. Moreover, our Kong family is in the limelight because of this. If we don't get any benefits, we will be at a disadvantage, Kong Ming said with a bitter face. If that's the case, Yu Jintian hesitated for a moment, then said, in the future, our hidden Yu family can help your Kong family in secret, and we can also refine some rare medicinal pills for you to sell. But you must not expose this layer of identity. This way, it was equivalent to the hidden Yu family finding a spokesperson in the secular world, and they could even earn some money. It was a win-win situation. Of course, when the time comes, our Kong family will unite with the Shao family through marriage. To the outside world, we will say that we have the support of the Shao family and the hidden house pie. We will not let the hidden Yu family be involved in this matter. Dr. Kong didn't expect Yu Jintian to give the Kong family benefits, and he was even more optimistic about his grandson, Kong Ming. In fact, Kong Ming was just asking with the mentality of trying it out. Anyway, they were partners. If he made more requests, the hidden Yu family wouldn't do anything to the Kong family, so he might as well give it a try. After the matter was settled, Yu Jintian left the Kong family with his follower, Yu San. At the same time, a few families close to Lin Yi, Old Man Song reacted. And on the other side, Old Man Sun also reacted. After Old Man Sun returned to the Sun family with Sun Jingyi and Sun Yikai, he held a family meeting and announced 2 important decisions. The first decision was that Sun Yikai was appointed as the next heir of the Sun family by Old Man Sunday. This decision made Sun Yikai's elder brother and Sun Yikai's uncle a little shocked and angry, but Old Man Sun had always been a man of his word. Moreover, they also knew what happened at the meeting. This was the rule set by the Earth Class Master. If they were dissatisfied, it was useless to talk to Old Man Sunday. If they had the ability to argue with Lin Yi, why not? But did they dare to? Therefore, they could only be angry, but did not dare to say anything. They could only be angry about Old Master Sun's appointment, but did not dare to say anything. The second important decision was to stop interfering with Sun Jingyi's marriage and let Sun Jingyi return to the family, so that she could manage some of the family's businesses and work together with Sun Yikai as a liaison for the Cultivator Association. Of course, Grandpa Sun also hinted that Sun Jingyi's main task was to build a good relationship with Lin Yi. As for the company in Donghai, she didn't need to run it anymore. She could just sell it, because Sun Jingyi didn't need to prove anything to her family. Regarding this decision, although Sun Jingyi was a little embarrassed, she was also very happy. She finally didn't need to run away from home to open a company to prove anything. In the family, she also had a certain amount of freedom. As long as the family didn't force her to marry someone she didn't like, she would be satisfied. And as a girl, it was too tiring to work hard outside. So Sun Jingyi happily decided to sell the company and focus on taking care of the family's business. Moreover, she was also under the family's order to contact Lin Yi, which made her a little happy. But after feeling happy, Sun Jingyi suddenly froze. Why was she so happy? Was it because of the family's recognition and gave her a certain amount of freedom? Or was it because she could see Lin Yi often? Could it be that she fell in love with Lin Yi? Sun Jingyi was a little lost. In the past, she never thought about this problem. She only thought about how to get rid of the restrictions of her family and Wu Chintian. But she never had the time to think about her own love. But once she relaxed, she couldn't help but think in this direction. Thinking back to how she and Lin Yi met, it was a little strange. Wu Chintian, who was always arrogant, was defeated in front of Lin Yi. This made Sun Jingyi surprised for the first time in her life. This person could actually defeat Wu Chintian, who came from a noble house, and even took advantage of him, stealing his wallet. This made Sun Jingyi feel a little strange. When she asked about Lin Yi's profession, Lin Yi actually told her that he was a pirate. As she got to know more about Lin Yi, Sun Jingyi suddenly realized that Lin Yi was a lot stronger than she thought. And after that, Wu Chintian became Lin Yi's follower, surprising Sun Jingyi. It was then that Sun Jingyi realized that she didn't understand Lin Yi at all. There were still many things she didn't know. And this meeting of the noble houses once again made Sun Jingyi see Lin Yi again. He'd managed to influence the entire noble house meeting by himself. And even after Shuixing had taken the pill, he'd managed to turn the tables and turn the situation around. Sun Jingyi couldn't believe her eyes. In the blink of an eye, Lin Yi's position had replaced House Yu's, becoming the core of these noble houses. He even created the Practitioners' Association, replacing the noble house meeting. All these miracles had happened to the great bandit that he had met by chance in a bar, and he had done it all on his own. If Sun Jingyi hadn't seen it with her own eyes, Sun Jingyi would have found it hard to believe. Was this still the Lin Yi she knew, the one who was occasionally cold and joking around? Lin Yi's strength made Sun Jingyi's heart feel a little fuzzy. The master of House Yu arrived. This person didn't look like much, and there was nothing special about him. If he were to blend in with the crowd, it would be impossible to tell him apart. And such a person was an Earth-class mid-phase master. This was a risky thing to do, and if something went wrong, they couldn't bring out House Yu to avoid being blamed by the Hidden Noble House Association. But at the same time, the rewards promised by House Yu were extremely generous. Once this was done, the Hidden House Yu promised to give him a large amount of lesser qi gathering pills to help him train. The difference between lesser qi gathering pills and other pills was that lesser qi gathering pills weren't pure, and the increase in strength from each pill was limited. However, there wouldn't be any negative side effects after ingesting it, and one could continue to absorb the energy from nature. With a generous reward, there would always be a brave man. And so this Earth-class master hid his identity and came to House Kong to participate in the kidnapping plan. Just as House Kong was celebrating, Xiaolong's lips curled into a sinister smile. He'd been waiting for this chance for far too long, and it was finally here. That night, when House Kong held a meeting to discuss how to kidnap Guan Xian and how to get the recipe, Xiaolong brought up his own idea. Hashtag. Chapter 1737. The operation this time is too risky. As far as I know, that Lin Yi isn't someone to be trifled with. It's not a good thing for House Kong to be in the limelight. Xiaolong said sarcastically. Don't we have the support of the Hidden House Yu? What are you afraid of? Kong Xiaoming wasn't happy that his big brother suddenly poured cold water on him. Kong Xiaoming naturally knew what his big brother was thinking. He thought that Kong Xiaoming was too capable, and that he was better than him. So he wouldn't have a place in the family anymore. Little brother, it's not that I'm a big brother, but the Hidden House Yu said that they can only help us in secret. We can't tell anyone about this. So if something goes wrong and Lin Yi comes back, won't our House Kong be finished? Big brother, I understand what you mean. You just want to cut ties with them, right? Kong Mingming sneered and said, if Linny really comes looking for trouble, I'll take responsibility for what I did. I'll take responsibility. That's good. I'm just thinking about the overall benefit of House Kong. I'm not targeting you. Although Xiaolong saw the huge benefits in this matter, at the same time, there was also a huge risk. If Linny came looking for them, and the hidden house you didn't care, then House Kong would be in danger. So Xiaolong made it clear first. If nothing went wrong, he would just be a villain for nothing. But if something went wrong, he would be a hero, and could regain his position in House Kong. Xiaolong has a point. Although the benefits this time are great, we can't let the whole House Kong get involved. Dr. Kong was also a careful person. He nodded and said, but Xiaoming, it's really hard on you this time. Grandpa, I'm a disciple of House Kong. Naturally, I have to contribute to the development of House Kong. Kong Mingming said, I'll tell the public about this. I did it myself. It has nothing to do with House Kong. Okay, we House Kong won't participate in the next plan. You and the masters of House Yu will plan it. We'll just pretend we don't know anything. Xiaolong pushed the blame away completely. Alright, then let's move out today. Xiaolong's words were chilling, but it was exactly what Kong Mingming wanted. Without the participation of the other members of the Kong Mingming, all the credit for this matter belonged to him alone. Moreover, he had absolute confidence that he could complete this mission. So what if Lin Yi was an Earth-class early-phase master? On his side, wasn't there another Earth-class mid-phase master? Let's see if Lin Yi has the ability to reverse the situation. Of course, Kong Mingming still had a way out. His actions seemed impulsive, but there was a deeper meaning behind them. Once the matter was exposed, and he had nowhere to go, he could seek refuge in the hidden right family. In his opinion, he had wholeheartedly worked for the Yu family. And this time there was a problem. The Yu family couldn't just sit back and do nothing, right? As long as he took refuge in the Yu family, wouldn't the problem be solved? If he could learn more about alchemy from the Yu family, that would be amazing. Kong Mingming had been planning to kidnap Guan Xian for a long time, but he didn't have the right opportunity to make a move. He was also afraid of Lin Yi's strength, so Kong Mingming didn't make a move. Now that he had the support of the hidden right family, Kong Mingming wasn't afraid of anything. This master from the Yu family didn't have a name. In fact, Kong Mingming knew that he didn't want to expose his identity, so he gave himself the name Yu Shisan. But it didn't matter. Kong Mingming didn't want to know his name. Kong Mingming was very fast. The second day after moving out of the Kong family, Guan Xian disappeared. Guan Shuamin was the same as usual. The servant Nanny Lu prepared dinner, and he sat at the dining table reading the newspaper, waiting for Guan Xian to come back from work. Guan Xian could have quit right now, but she said that she wanted to be on her last shift. After leaving the hospital, she might never be able to return to her job as a nurse, so she treasured the last moments she had left. Professor Guan, the food is cold. Do you want to call Xin and ask her if she's working overtime? Nanny Lu looked at the food on the table and asked Guan Shuamin, who was engrossed in reading the newspaper. Oh, what time is it? Guan Shuamin was slightly stunned, putting down the newspaper in his hand. It's already past 8 in the evening. Normally, if Xin isn't on duty or working overtime, she should be home around 6. Nanny Lu said, I'll call and ask. Guan Shuamin frowned slightly. Guan Xian always got off work on time. Even if she was working overtime, she would call to inform him. So he wasn't used to the sudden lack of news from her today. He called Guan Xian's phone, and it was picked up quickly. However, it wasn't Guan Xian who picked up the phone, but an unfamiliar man's voice. Hello. The voice was lazy, as if victory was in his grasp. Isn't this Xin's phone number? Who are you? Guan Shuamin paused and looked at the number he dialed. He couldn't help but feel a little confused. Miracle Dr. Guan, I thought you didn't care about your granddaughter anymore. It's been so long, what a surprise. The man said slowly, It's been 2 hours, but it's not that long. I was thinking that if you didn't call me in 5 hours, I'd kill the hostage. I don't have that much time to play with you. Kill the hostage? Guan Shuamin paused. Who are you really? What do you want? Where's Xinshin? What happened? Miracle Dr. Guan, you're so knowledgeable. Can't you guess who I am? Of course I'm the kidnapper. This man was Kong Ming. He'd successfully kidnapped Guan Xian and was planning to use her to get the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing recipe from Guan Shuamin. Xinshin's in your hands. Guan Shuamin had been too worried before, but he calmed down after hearing Kong Ming's words. What do you want? What do you want? Miracle Dr. Guan, you're a straightforward person, Kong Ming said. If you want your granddaughter to be safe, you only need to pay a small price, Miracle Dr. Guan. How much do you want? Guan Shuamin asked. Isn't it tacky to talk about money? Kong Ming shook his head. I don't want money. Then what do you want? Guan Shuamin was a little confused after hearing Kong Ming's words. If the kidnapper didn't want money, then what did he want? Guan Shuamin asked without batting an eyelid. Miracle Dr. Guan, I heard that you have the recipe for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. I wonder if you can give me a copy? Kong Ming said straightforwardly. Chapter 1738. Of course, you don't have to give it to me, but your granddaughter isn't that safe. At least she's safe right now. So that's what you want. Guan Shuamin paused after hearing the other's intentions. Are you from House Kong? Currently, the only one competing with Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company was House Kang's medical company. If there was someone who desperately wanted the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing's recipe, then House Kong would be the most suspicious. So Guan Shuamin's first suspicion was House Kong. Kong Ming thought that Guan Shuamin was smart. Who I am isn't important. What's important is whether you're going to give it to me or not. Miracle Dr. Guan, you're a smart man. It's just a recipe. You won't die if you copy it. But if you don't, someone will. How can I trust you? You want me to listen to Xian's voice? Guan Shuamin frowned. I can't hear her voice. She's not with me. But if you don't believe me, there's nothing I can do. Kong Ming said. I don't like to waste my breath. If Miracle Dr. Guan doesn't believe me, then there's nothing we can do. You'll have to collect your granddaughter's corpse tomorrow. With that, Kong Ming hung up. He believed that Guan Shuamin would call again. As expected, Guan Shuamin called again very quickly. Kong Ming picked it up leisurely. Hello, Miracle Dr. Guan. There's no need to be in such a hurry, is there? I don't care who you are. You better let Xian go, or I'll call the police. Guan Shuamin said. No matter who you are, you won't be able to get away with it. Call the police? I'm so scared. Kong Ming curled his lips. Even if you call the police, you'll have to be able to find me first. To tell you the truth, it's impossible for you to use a mobile phone to locate me. I've transferred this number from overseas several times. There's no way you can find me. Don't waste your energy. If you call the police, then there's nothing to talk about. I can only kill the hostage, and we'll part ways. Wait. Guan Shuamin saw that Kong Ming was about to hang up again. So he quickly stopped him. By calling the police, Guan Shuamin was just trying to scare the other party. He wanted to see how confident the other party was. From the looks of it, since the other party dared to do such a thing, it meant that they were well prepared. This was different from ordinary kidnappers. The other party should have made a complete plan. It seemed that there was really no room for negotiation. That was because the other party's goal was very clear. They wanted the formula for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. This was different from asking for a ransom. There was no room for negotiation. What's wrong, Miracle Dr. Guan? Is your granddaughter's life more important? Or is the formula more important? Kong Ming asked happily. He knew that Guan Shuamin was going to give in. I can't make the decision about the formula. I'll have to ask around. After all, the company doesn't belong to me alone. Guan Shuamin said helplessly. He could only ask for Lin Yi's opinion on this matter. The formula belonged to Lin Yi. If Lin Yi didn't give it to him, then he could only resign himself to fate. Then go ask around. I'll be waiting for your reply. Kong Mingming hung up. Miracle Dr. Guan hesitated for a moment before dialing Lin Yi's number. He was a little embarrassed, but he had no choice. He could only trouble Lin Yi for this. The other party had made it very clear that he wanted the formula in exchange for Guan Xian's safety. Only Lin Yi could make the decision. At this moment, Lin Yi had just left the province. He found an express hotel with Tang Yin, Ming Yao and Yushu. After dinner, Ming Yao, and Skybolt Pig were playing with General Wei Wu. As for the lion, it was left with Wu Chintian. Rest early, we still have a long way to go tomorrow, Lin Yi said as he looked at the three who were having fun. And let's play for a while more. General Wei Wu and Skybolt Pig were staying in the villa's backyard. Ming Yao and the others didn't pay attention to it, but they realized that General Wei Wu was teaching Skybolt Pig martial arts during their journey, and it looked like it was the real deal. They thought that it was very interesting and watched from the side. But Lin Yi knew that Skybolt Pig didn't have any attacking abilities. The things General Wei Wu taught him could save his life in a critical moment. Lin Yi was about to say something when his phone rang. Lin Yi looked at the caller ID and picked it up. Elder Guan, why are you calling me at this hour? What's up? Something happened to Xian. Guan Xuemin didn't say much and went straight to the point. Xian was kidnapped. What? Guan Xian's been kidnapped? Lin Yi paused. What's going on? Elder Guan, don't scare me. Xian got off work today and didn't come home on time. I called her, and it was an unfamiliar man's voice. With that, Xuemin explained the whole story. The kidnappers only want the recipe for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. So I suspect that it's our competitor. It might be House Kong. House Kong. Lin Yi nodded. Xuemin's analysis wasn't unreasonable, but something like this happening at a time like this made Lin Yi feel helpless. Lin Yi was out of town and Guan Xian was kidnapped. If Lin Yi wanted to save her, he had to go back. I understand your difficulties. If you can't do it, then forget it. After all, the formula is very precious and important. I'll think of another way. Guan Xuemin heard Lin Yi's silence and thought that Lin Yi didn't want to give him the formula. Elder Guan, you misunderstood. It's not that I don't want to give it to you, but I'm out of town and I can't go back. Lin Yi had already made his decision. How about this? I'll text you the formula, and you can use it to exchange for Xian's safety. Although Lin Yi hated the feeling of being threatened, it would be troublesome for Lin Yi to go back now. He might as well compromise and give the formula to Guan Xuemin for Guan Xian. Once Lin Yi returned to Songshan, he could take his revenge on the mastermind. Lin Yi didn't believe that the mastermind wouldn't make the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing after getting the formula. Whoever made the pill would know who the mastermind was, so Lin Yi wasn't in a hurry. Guan Xuemin didn't think that Lin Yi would agree so easily. He didn't know what to do. Don't force yourself. Chapter 1739. Elder Guan, look at what you're saying. Isn't it just a recipe? It's nothing to me. It's nothing compared to Xian's safety. Lin Yi smiled. Alright, let's not waste any more time. I'll send you the recipe right now. Alright. Thank you so much, Xuemin said excitedly. Naturally, he knew the value of this recipe. The pills had been sold for sky-high prices back at the auction, and this recipe was even more priceless. And now, Lin Yi was giving it away just like that. How could he not be touched? After hanging up, Lin Yi started to think about it. Just give away the recipe for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing? He wasn't that kind of guy. Plus, that wasn't Lin Yi's style at all. Lin Yi remembered reading from Zhang Liju's notes that there was a pill called the Great Foundation Establishment Pill, the bone cleansing pill. Its effects were similar to the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, but it was a little more powerful than it. And so, Lin Yi opened up the notes and found the recipe for the bone cleansing and bone cleansing pill. He then started making up the recipe based on his own pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. Lin Yi had been studying Zhang Liju's notes for a while now. His skills didn't improve much, but his knowledge of medicinal properties and pharmacology had improved by leaps and bounds. The best of the best had two skills. One was an extremely high level of control over the refinement fire, and the other was the ability to create their own recipes, simplifying and replacing the recipes. Just like back then, when Zhang Liju simplified the qi-gathering pill that had no side effects into the current qi-gathering pill. Lin Yi, on the other hand, didn't have much attainment in controlling the refinement fire, but he had a solid foundation in medicine. His skills weren't any worse than Zhang Liju's, and it could even be said that the old man's knowledge of medicinal properties and pharmacology had far surpassed Zhang Liju's level. Because of something that happened years ago, the old man had spent decades researching medicine and medicinal properties, and so Lin Yi was very familiar with medicine and medicinal properties under the influence of this since he was young. Changing prescriptions was a common thing for Lin Yi, and changing prescriptions wasn't much different from changing prescriptions. Of course, the requirements for the recipe would be different from before, and the requirements for the refiner would be different as well. But the main problem was that Lin Yi didn't care about that. He was only responsible for providing the recipe, and whether or not they could make it was House Kang's problem. 10 minutes later, a completely different pill formula was produced. Only a grade 3 apothecary and above could forge it. Furthermore, there were many valuable medicinal herbs in it. Even if the cost of this pill was not in the hundreds of millions, it would be at least 70 to 80 million. Moreover, this was based on a 100% success rate. For an average pill master, if they could have a success rate of 20% to 30%, it was already not bad. A slightly more powerful 5th-tier pill master, refining a 3rd-tier pill master's success rate was only around 50%. Thus, this imperceptibly increased the cost of the pill, causing the value of a single pill to rise to between 200 million to 500 million. The effects of this pill were similar to the life extension and toxin cleansing pill. It was much stronger than the foundation establishment pill, but it was still inferior to the true marrow and bone cleansing pill, which was the great foundation establishment pill. But the pill of bone and marrow cleansing was much harder to make, and the ingredients were rarer as well. So Lin Yi's pill of life extension and toxin cleansing was the difference between the two, and it was no wonder that the hidden house Yu was so eager for it. After making this fraudulent recipe, Lin Yi sent a text to the anxiously waiting Guan Xuemin. Guan Xuemin felt like a year, waiting for half a day without a message from Lin Yi. He was a little uneasy, wondering if Lin Yi would send him the recipe. Although Lin Yi had agreed, his phone hadn't buzzed for so long, and Guan Xuemin was afraid that Lin Yi was just being perfunctory. Fortunately, Guan Xuemin's phone soon received a text from Lin Yi. "I'm sorry, Elder Guan. The recipe is in my notebook, and I had to make a copy, so I wasted some time. The recipe is as follows." The text was from Lin Yi. Lin Yi naturally couldn't tell Guan Xuemin that he'd tampered with the contents of the recipe. After all, Guan Xuemin was a very honest person, and Lin Yi was afraid that he'd let the Kangs slip. Guan Xuemin didn't dare delay after receiving the recipe. He quickly dialed Guan Xian's number again. "Miracle Dr. Guan, how is it? Are there any results? I'm getting a little impatient." Kong Mingming's voice sounded again. "There are only a few people in your company. Is it so hard to make a decision?" I've already discussed it. I can give you the recipe, but you must guarantee Xian's safety," Guan Xuemin said. "Otherwise I won't let you go." "Haha, of course. We people in the underworld have rules. If you give me the recipe, I'll naturally let your granddaughter go. She can't make medicine anyway, so what's the point of having her?" Kong Xiaoming actually had his eyes on Guan Xian, but he didn't want to blow things up. He didn't want to cause more trouble, so getting the formula was the most important thing. "All right, I'll send the recipe to Xian's phone. Let her go after you receive it," Guan Xuemin said. "Don't, the call is forwarded, so you can only receive voice messages. I'll give you an email address, just send it to me," Kong Mingming said. "That's fine," Guan Xuemin nodded. But after you receive the email, you must let Xine go as soon as possible. Of course, but I need to confirm the authenticity of the recipe first. If it's fake, then we'll have no choice but to kill her. Kong Mingming said. You know what happens when you make a fool out of us. Confirm the authenticity? Doesn't that mean I'll have to wait for you to make the pill before I let Xine go? Guan Shuimin frowned a little unhappy. There's no need to take so long. We just need to study the pharmacology and properties. Kong Mingming had the Hidden Yu family behind him. Naturally, they didn't need to wait for the pill to be made. With their experience, they could know the authenticity of the recipe, with a little bit of analysis and simulation. Alright, tell me the email address. Guan Shuimin breathed a sigh of relief. Kong Mingming gave Guan Shuimin an email address. Of course, it was a free email address in a foreign country. Guan Shuimin sent the recipe word by word according to Lin Yi's text message, and then called Kong Mingming to inform him. As for Kong Xiaoming, the first thing he did after receiving the call was log into his mailbox and received the prescription. Chapter 1740. Greed. This prescription requires an alchemist? Kong Mingming looked at the prescription on the computer and was slightly stunned. No wonder his family couldn't come up with anything after researching for so long. The result of their research was a pile of dog sh*t. It turned out that it required a higher-level alchemist to refine it. It wasn't a problem of his family's ability. It was just that their standards weren't high enough. Kong Mingming couldn't understand the prescription either, but he forwarded it to Yu Xintian's mailbox. Kong Mingming didn't expect Guan Shuimin to compromise so easily. From his point of view, Guan Shuimin should have gone to Lin Yi, and with Lin Yi's personality, he should have gone to Guan Xine and rescued her first. He would only hand over the prescription after being humiliated by the Yu family's Earth-class expert. However, none of this happened. Guan Shuimin directly took out the prescription. This made Kong Ming feel a little regretful. This was really a case of wearing out iron shoes and fruitless searching, only to find it without even looking for it. If he knew this would happen, he wouldn't have cooperated with the Yu family. He could have just found a few hoodlums to kidnap Guan Xine. When he obtained the prescription, his bargaining chips with the Yu family would be much higher than now. But things had already come to this. There was nothing Kong Mingming could do about it even if he regretted it. Instead, he let the Hidden Yu family gain a huge advantage. Of course, the authenticity of the prescription hadn't been confirmed yet, so it was still too early to regret. After Yu Xintian received the email, he saw that the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing could only be refined by an alchemist above the 3rd level. But he wasn't surprised. This was because Yu Xintian knew that Lin Yi was an alchemist. Although he didn't know his strength, it wasn't surprising that such a heaven-defying pill came from an alchemist. Therefore, Yu Xintian took Lin Yi's tampering as a matter of course. This was the so-called appearance causing trouble. Yu Xintian took a simple look at the prescription and found that the medicinal properties were extremely reasonable. Simply put, there was no problem with this prescription. Everyone who refined pills knew that if one of the ingredients was used improperly, it could cause the furnace to explode. However, this prescription obviously didn't have that risk. Yu Xintian did not believe that Guan Shuimin or Lin Yi could forge such a reasonable pill formula in such a short time. Unless this was not the pill formula for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. If it was, then there should be no problem. One had to know that people who could change the pill recipe at will were all top alchemists. Not to mention the Hidden Yu family. Even the Heavenly Elixir sect did not have such talents. Yu Xintian quickly printed out the prescription and gave it to the current helmsman of the Yu family, Old Master Yu Taishan. Father, the elixir formula is in my hands. Please take a look and verify its authenticity. Yu Xintian presented the elixir formula with both hands and handed it to Yu Taishan to take a look. Oh, the efficiency of the Kong family is quite fast. You got the pill formula in such a short time? Yu Taishan took the pill formula with some surprise and said, "Have you seen it? Is there a problem with this pill formula? From what I can see, there are no problems with the medicinal properties and the medicinal properties. There won't be an explosion. However, I'm not too sure if the pill formula is the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing." Yu Jintian said, "All right, I'll take a look first." Yu Taishan nodded. He was quite confident in this son of his. His son was very perceptive when it came to alchemy. So if he said there was no problem, there was basically no problem. After a period of careful deliberation, Yu Jintian nodded slowly and raised his head. "Not bad. This pill formula should have been developed based on the foundation of the Foundation Establishment pill. Although I don't know how it compares to the legendary marrow and bone cleansing pill, its effects should definitely be much stronger than the Foundation Establishment pill." In other words, this pill formula is real? Yu Jintian was overjoyed when he heard that. "I think it's real, but we still have to ask the people from the Heavenly Elixir sect to take a look. As long as they confirm it, there won't be any problems." Yu Taishan looked at the pill formula with some joy and some heartache. Although this pill formula doesn't look fake, the medicinal ingredients in this pill formula are extremely precious. The cost to refine the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing isn't low. Many of the medicinal ingredients are priceless and can't be produced in a year. That doesn't matter. The Heavenly Elixir sect has its own herb garden anyway. Yu Jintian said, "Then I'll contact the emissary from the Heavenly Elixir sect and let them take a look at this pill formula. If it's real, then our Yu family has made a great contribution this time. Our status in the Heavenly Elixir sect will also rise. Haha, if it's real, then don't mistreat the Kong family. This Kong family is not bad." Yu Taishan was very satisfied with the Kong family's efficiency. Previously, he had viewed this cooperation with an indifferent attitude. He didn't expect to reap such unexpected rewards. "Yes, father." Yu Jintian nodded and went to contact the emissary from the Heavenly Elixir sect. Soon, the Heavenly Elixir sect replied that the pill formula was real, but the refining conditions were a little harsh. However, this wasn't a problem. As long as the pill formula was real, it was fine. As for how to refine it, that was a problem for the future. The Heavenly Elixir sect replied to the Hidden Yu family, and Yu Jintian naturally replied to Kong Ming immediately. "Xiaoming, you're really a good young man. You have a bright future. Things have progressed so smoothly this time. You've made a great contribution." Yu Jintian already knew the authenticity of the pill formula, so he naturally didn't hesitate to praise Kong Ming. "Oh, young Master Yu, so that pill formula is real?" Kong Ming was overjoyed when he heard Yu Jintian's words. "And it's real," Yu Jintian said. "But this isn't a pill formula, it's a pill formula. I guess your Kong family can't refine it. When we refine it, the sales in the secular world will be given to your Kong family. We won't let you work for nothing. Our Hidden Yu family is very clear about gratitude and grudges." "Great, thank you, young Master Yu." Kong Ming was overjoyed when he heard Yu Jintian's promise. "By the way, young Master Yu, I still want to ask Guan Shuimin for a few formulas. Can you let Master Yu Shursan cooperate with me?" "No problem, as you wish." Yu Jintian waved his hand and said indifferently. This time, the Hidden Yu family was praised and rewarded by the Heavenly Elixir sect. The rewards were also very generous, so Yu Jintian naturally wouldn't be stingy with Kong Ming, a great contributor. "Thank you so much, young Master Yu." Kong Ming quickly thanked him. Guan Shuimin's previous straightforwardness made Kong Ming have other thoughts. Sometimes, when a person's greed comes, it can't be stopped. Kong Ming was like that. He saw how easily he got the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. So he wanted the other two formulas from Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. #. Chapter 1741. Lin Yi's Fury, Part 1. Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine and pain medicine were popular products. Because of their low prices, the market responded well. Miracle Dr. Kang's Golden Creations cost was too high, and they couldn't sell it at a loss. So they weren't a match for Miracle Dr. Guan's medicine company. So Kang Xiaoming came up with another plan. If he got the formula from Miracle Dr. Guan's company, then Dr. Kang's company might not be able to suppress Miracle Dr. Guan's company, but they could be on par with Miracle Dr. Guan's company. At that time, he would be the savior of House Kang. The position of the head of House Kang would belong to him, Kang Mingming. So Kang Mingming thought for a while and called Yi Shisan. He told him not to let Guan Xian go, and to keep an eye on Guan Xian. Then Kang Mingming called Guan Xuemin again. Hello. Now that you got the formula, shouldn't you keep your promise and let her go? Guan Xuemin picked up the phone and asked anxiously. He didn't have the calmness he usually had. Guan Xian was his favorite granddaughter, and now that something happened to her, he couldn't stay calm. Miracle Dr. Guan, this prescription of yours requires an alchemist to refine it. It's too troublesome to verify it, so we're worried. Kang Xiaoming began to make a big fuss. You're right. Then what do you want? Are you going back on your word? Miracle Dr. Guan's voice was filled with anger. Hee, we won't go back on our word. But if you give us a fake formula, wouldn't we be losing big time? So you'll have to pay a little more security, or else it'll be hard for us to let her go. Kang Mingming said. Security? You're going back on your word. Guan Xuemin said angrily. How can you go back on your word? We agreed that you'll let Xian go if we give you the formula. And now you want security. Don't be angry, Miracle Dr. Guan. It's hard for us to continue this conversation with your current mood. Why don't we talk after you've calmed down? Kang Mingming purposely said in a superior tone. Guan Xuemin was about to explode, but his granddaughter was in their hands, so he didn't dare to get angry. He could only say, how much more money do you want? What do you want? Tell me clearly. Money? I've already said it. Isn't it tacky to talk about money? Could it be that Miracle Dr. Guan's memory is bad and he's muddled from anger? Kang Mingming said. I don't need money. What security deposit do you need? Guan Xuemin asked. Miracle Dr. Guan, we'll let your granddaughter go if you give us the prescription for the injury medicine and painkiller as collateral. I'll return them to you after I verify that the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing is real, Kang Mingming said. Prescriptions aren't money. You'll know once I give them to you. What's the point of giving them back to me? Guan Xuemin was amused by Kang Mingming's angry. This guy was greedy and insatiable. He wasn't satisfied after asking for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. He was asking for other prescriptions. Haha, Miracle Dr. Guan, you're a smart one. I won't say anything more. Deal or no deal. Just give me a straight answer. Kang Mingming didn't bother explaining. If it's okay, then I'll let her go. If not, then I'll let her go after I verify the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. But I can't guarantee Guan Xian's safety in the meantime. Haha. You know what I mean. Guan Xuemin didn't expect Kang Mingming to be this shameless, but this wasn't the time to piss him off. He could only say, then I'll discuss it and get back to you. That's right. Let's go discuss it. Kang Xiaoming said happily when he heard that there was hope. Miracle Dr. Guan hung up the phone, his chest heaving with anger. He let out a long sigh of relief and dialed Lin Yi's number again. He didn't want to trouble Lin Yi, but for his granddaughter, he had no choice but to sacrifice his dignity. The call went through quickly. Lin Yi was concerned about Guan Xian's safety as well, so he quickly asked, how's it going, Elder Guan? Did they let Xian go after they got the prescription? Ugh. Guan Xuemin sighed, a bitter smile on his face. They're too greedy. They said they'd let Xian go after they got the prescription for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. But now they want the prescription for the wound medicine and the painkiller. I'm guessing that they're from Dr. Kang's family, because there are only competitors. More. Lin Yi frowned, a fire burning in his heart. Was this guy trying to take advantage of him? Did he think he was a pushover? He wasn't satisfied with just the prescription for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. And now he wanted something else? Lin Yi wasn't someone who would let others bully him. He'd explode even in the face of a Sky class, let alone Dr. Kang's family. Yeah, but I don't have a choice. If it comes down to it, I'll give up the shares of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. I'll work for you for free, and you can use my name for free as well. I only have one granddaughter, Xian. Guan Xuemin was embarrassed to say all this, but he really couldn't give up on Guan Xian. Elder Guan, look at what you're saying. Linny didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Aren't you treating me like an outsider? You took me in as your disciple when I was in trouble, and now you're saying something like this? Plus, Xian's my good friend, and I want to save her. It has nothing to do with you, so you don't have to feel guilty. Thank you so much. It's our fortune to have met you. Guan Xuemin said, touched. Let's not talk about that for now. They're so greedy that they'll probably ask for other things after we give them these 2 formulas. In the end, we might even have to give them the whole company. Linny said. That's right. I know that too. This kind of serial scam happens all the time on TV. But I really don't have a choice right now. Guan Xuemin said helplessly. Elder Guan, I'll contact Lingshan and ask her to see if she can find any traces of the kidnappers. I'll rush back to Songshan as fast as I can. You don't have to worry about this. I'll take care of it for you. Linny couldn't take it anymore. Linny gave him one recipe, but he still wanted more. This was too greedy, and Lin Yi's bottom line had been crossed. Naturally, he had to take care of this himself. Right, they didn't want us to call the police, saying that they'd kill the hostage if we did. Guan Xuemin said. Plus, they said that the call had been transferred multiple times, through multiple countries before coming back. Lingshan shouldn't be able to do anything either. Hashtag. Chapter 1742. Chapter 1747. Lin Yi's Fury Part 2. Pretty professional, huh? But no problem, leave it to me. Linny nodded and hung up before quickly returning to Tang Yin, Ming Yao, and Yushu's room. Something happened to Guan Xian. I have to go back to Songshan. Do you guys want to come with me? Guan Xian? What happened? Tang Yin and the others knew Guan Xian, and it was strange to hear Linny say this. Let's talk on the way, Linny said. Don't waste time. Okay. Tang Yin and the others weren't stupid people. They nodded after seeing how serious Linny was. They quickly packed their things and left the hotel with Linny. Linny started the car and sped off. Linny didn't exceed the speed limit on the way, but this was an emergency, so Linny had no choice but to exceed the speed limit. After turning onto the highway, Linny's car reached its limit, but Linny didn't stop accelerating. Tang Yun, Ming Yao, and Yushu felt like they were on a plane. All the other cars on the highway became shadows in their eyes, disappearing in an instant. Linny told Ming Yao and the others about Guan Xian as he drove. At the same time, Linny dialed a number. Eagle? The person on the other side sounded surprised. You're calling me on your own? Ugh. I was just thinking that you're busy, so I won't bother you if there's nothing else. Linny smiled bitterly. The hacker princess always had this hostile tone when he contacted her, as if he was the one who'd pissed her off. Yeah, I'm very busy. I'm so busy that I don't have time to answer your call. I'm hanging up. The hacker princess gritted her teeth. Don't. Linny quickly stopped him. Don't hang up. I'm just kidding. Recently, my mission hasn't ended. There's nothing big, so I didn't contact you. Linny explained. I don't think there's an end to this mission of yours, right? Do you want to marry into a rich girl's family to complete the mission? Hacker princess mocked. Heh. Linny could only smile bitterly at this. Let's not talk about this. I have a serious matter to discuss with you this time. Can you help me check a number? It is said that it has been transferred many times from abroad. Can you locate it? Do you think it's possible? Hacker princess asked. What's the number? The number is... Linny gave Guan Xian's number to hacker princess. Wait a minute, let me check. When it came to business, hacker princess no longer joked with Linny, but returned to her usual formal tone. Linny wasn't in a rush. He drove toward Songshan while waiting for the results. I found it. The opponent seems to have a master as well. It's just child's play, Hacker Princess said. The call went through dozens of transfers and finally came back through an internet call. According to the search, the target's coordinates are in Songshan. Do you have the GPS? I'll tell you the coordinates, and you can input it directly. Yes, tell me. Lenny turned on the GPS. This was the car Feng Tianlong gave to Lenny. It had all the necessary facilities. The coordinates are... Hacker Princess said a set of numbers. Lenny entered the coordinates and found out that the coordinates were actually the underground arena Air Gooden went to. It was originally an abandoned factory that was transformed into an underground boxing arena. After the underground boxing arena was destroyed, it became an uninhabited ruin. Lenny didn't expect House Kong to choose such a place. They were good at choosing. Not only was there no one paying attention to it, but it was also hard to be discovered. Thanks, Lenny said to Hacker Princess. I have something to do today. I'll talk to you another day. I'm very busy. Bye. Hacker Princess hung up. Lenny shook his head and sped up again. This car was specially modified by Feng Tianlong, and Lenny sped up to the max. Lenny's car was just a blur in the highway, and nothing could be seen. The passing cars all thought that they were seeing a ghost car. A driver who watched too many sci-fi movies rubbed his eyes. Wow, it's not a UFO, is it? Oh, it feels so good. Yushu had never been in a car this fast before. She screamed. It's even more exciting than a roller coaster. Tang Yin, on the other hand, held Mingyao's hand tightly. She was a little scared. And while Mingyao wasn't as scared as Tang Yun, she was still a little nervous. Only that idiot Yushu had no sense of danger at all, just like Xiao Xiao. But Lenny wouldn't let the people in the car be in danger. He used Qi to protect the car when he was driving. Even if an accident happened, there wouldn't be any danger. We're here. Wait for me here. Don't go in. No matter what happens, wait here. Understand? Lenny parked the car in a dark corner far away from the arena and spoke to Mingyao and the others in a serious tone. Okay, we got it. Don't worry. Tang Yun nodded with a pale face. But you have to be careful. Okay, I'll be careful, Lenny said. Although it was dark in the underground boxing field, it could be seen from the two cars parked at the door that there were people in the underground boxing field. Otherwise, no one would park a car in this wilderness. Lenny looked at the license plate. It was indeed from Donghai. Now he was sure that it was done by House Kong. An unknown rage rose in Lin Yi's heart. During the meeting of the noble houses, Lin Yi let House Kong go because House Kong was related to Kong Xiaobo. Lin Yi didn't want to put Kong Xiaobo in a difficult position, so he didn't do anything to them. Plus, House Kong had been suppressed by Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company, and they were struggling at death's door. Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company had taken over most of the market. Their medicine wasn't a problem, but the price was too high. Even if it was an old brand, people wouldn't be able to buy it. After all, people would always choose the cheaper ones. Since the effects were about the same, naturally, they would buy the cheaper ones. But at this moment, Lin Yi couldn't take it anymore. What Kong Ming did had exceeded Lin Yi's tolerance. Lin Yi suppressed his anger and tiptoed to the arena. As expected, the door was locked from the inside. Hashtag. Chapter 1743. Logically speaking, there shouldn't be a lock here. If there was a lock, it could only mean that there was someone inside. This further proved that Hacker Princess information was correct. Of course, a lock of this level wasn't a problem for Lin Yi at all. Lin Yi had a master uncle who specialized in breaking locks, so Lin Yi learned a little bit of it. However, Lin Yi wasn't a professional researcher, so he didn't study the notebook that his master uncle left him too deeply. As long as it was enough for his daily use, Lin Yi didn't expect himself to become a great thief. After successfully unlocking the door, Lin Yi entered the underground arena. It was no longer as bright as it used to be. It had been empty for a long time, and it had become dilapidated. Leaking rain and broken chairs made the entire arena look dilapidated. Lin Yi's target was the room in the arena. The kidnappers should be hiding in one of the rooms. In the quiet arena, Lin Yi could easily detect the slightest movement. However, while Lin Yi could detect the other party's movement, the other party could also detect Lin Yi's movement. Even if Lin Yi had concealed his aura, even a normal person wouldn't be able to escape the senses of a mid-earth class master, Yu Shisan. Moreover, Yu Shisan was 2 levels higher than Lin Yi. It wouldn't be difficult for him to sense Lin Yi's arrival. At this moment, Kong Mingming was sitting in front of his computer proudly, waiting for Miracle Dr. Guan's reply. In his mind, he was drawing a beautiful blueprint for the future. His position in the Kong family would be comparable to Grandfather Kong. Kong Mingming couldn't help but laugh out loud. But at this time, Yu Shisan suddenly walked out from the inner room and said, "Master Kong, someone's here." "Someone's here?" Kong Mingming was stunned. Who would come to this godforsaken place? "I don't know, but I have a feeling that he's coming towards us. Maybe he's here to rescue the hostage." "Be careful," Yu Shisan said. "Leave this place to me. Just watch the hostage." "All right, I'll leave it to you then." Kong Mingming was also shocked. He picked up the computer in his hands and was about to run into the room. But just then the door was kicked open. Yu Shisan had already expected that someone would come, so he was expressionless at the moment. However, Kong Mingming was shocked. He subconsciously shouted, "Who is it?" "It really is you, Kong Mingming." Lin Yi walked into the room and saw Kong Mingming in the room. A fierce look flashed across his eyes. "Lin Yi, you sure are fast." Seeing that Lin Yi was heading there himself, Kong Mingming wasn't afraid anymore, because there was still an Earth-class mid-phase master here, and he could definitely take care of Lin Yi. "Your opponent is me, young Master Kong. Take care of the hostages," Right 13 said calmly. "Earth-class mid-phase?" Lin Yi also noticed Right 13 at this time, but his strength made Lin Yi's heart skip a beat. He didn't think that the Kong family would be able to invite an Earth-class mid-phase master to hold the fort. But it made sense. The Kong family knew that he was an Earth-class early-phase master, and yet they still dared to provoke him. It was obvious that they had something up their sleeves, and this confidence came from this Earth-class mid-phase master in front of him. Lin Yi didn't dare to be the slightest bit negligent. When he fought Xuexing, it was a complete fluke. But even so, it wasn't easy. Now that he was facing an opponent 2 levels higher than him, Lin Yi had no choice but to start channeling the art of dragon mastery right from the start and condense a chi bomb. "Die!" Right 13 didn't answer Lin Yi. Instead, he suddenly raised his hands and prepared to attack Lin Yi. Lin Yi was shocked. He quickly retreated and asked anxiously, "Which force are you from? Why are you interfering with the matters here?" However, Right 13 didn't seem to have any intention of talking nonsense with Lin Yi. He turned a deaf ear to Lin Yi's question. Instead, he shook his wrist and seemed to be channeling his inner force, preparing to use a martial technique. "You, where are you from?" Lin Yi frowned. When he fought against masters of this level before, they were usually very arrogant. If Lin Yi talked to them, they would always reply with a few words to show how powerful they were. But this person in front of him made Lin Yi miscalculate. He didn't want to talk nonsense with Lin Yi. Lin Yi didn't have the time to condense a chi bomb at all. In fact, if it were any other time, Right 13 would naturally act pretentiously and say a few words of contempt in front of Lin Yi. After all, it was not easy for an expert to reach his level. When he encountered an opponent, it was normal to scold the other party to make him feel satisfied. However, the key problem was that Right 13 came with an order this time. Right Jintian had strictly ordered him not to talk too much lest he revealed the identity of the Right family. Therefore, with Right Jintian's order in front of him, how could Right 13 dare to talk to Lin Yi casually? Since he didn't speak, he couldn't just stand there and stare at each other, right? In that case, he could only fight. Right 13's approach made Lin Yi break out in a cold sweat. All along, Lin Yi had been very conceited. Even in the face of an expert who was 1 or 2 levels higher than him, He would not show weakness. This was because Lin Yi had a trump card. He had a trump card like the Chi Bomb, which could allow him to cross levels to injure the enemy. But now Lin Yi realized that when this trump card could not be used, he was really weak. The other party's martial arts technique was obviously at the point of perfection, while Lin Yi's own martial arts technique was about the same. Just as Lin Yi was thinking, Right 13 had already displayed his martial arts technique. With his left and right palms, as the chi circulated, one could vaguely see that his palms were surrounded by a light green mist. It seemed that this was not the original color of the chi, but the effect of the martial arts technique. With the eruption of the light green mist, Right 13's entire body leaped up like a spring, forming a shadow, and pounced toward Lin Yi with the force of a thunderbolt. Earth-level martial arts technique, Thunderstorm Palm. Accompanied by this roar, Right 13's figure was also right in front of Lin Yi. The cold sweat on Lin Yi's forehead instantly flowed down. Right 13's move actually made him feel breathless. This was a real Earth-level martial arts technique. Previously, when he faced Blue Hair, that guy was also an Earth-level early-stage expert. He was probably like Lin Yi, having just learned martial arts not long ago. Therefore, before he could display it, he was beaten senseless by Lin Yi. However, the person in front of him was different. He was a genuine Earth-level mid-stage expert. Although Lin Yi's cultivation realm was lower than Right 13's, with the current situation, there was no way for Lin Yi to hide. Unless there was a glimmer of hope for him to escape by using Nimble Qinggong, he had no other choice. But could Lin Yi run now? Chapter 1744. If Lin Yi ran away, there was no telling whether or not He Shursen could catch up. Even if He Shursen didn't chase after him, if He Shursen took Kong Ming Ming and Guan Xian away, then He Shursen wouldn't be able to catch up to him. At that time, He Shursen would come here for nothing, and it would be difficult to find traces of Kong Ming Ming again. Moreover, it was hard to say what a furious Kong Ming Ming would do. So after weighing the pros and cons, Lin Yi could only bite the bullet and face it head-on. Earth-tier skill Frenzy Fist. Lin Yi used the skill that Faubert taught him, which he was not familiar with, to face it head-on. But in terms of momentum alone, He Shursen was more than a head weaker than He Shursen. Boom! Boom! With two loud bangs, the four palms collided, and Lin Yi was sent flying. The collision of the powerful skill and true chi brought about a series of explosions, and this earth-shattering force also sent Lin Yi flying. Lin Yi didn't take it head-on, but took the opportunity to retreat. The ground that Lin Yi's feet passed was all cracked by Lin Yi, which allowed Lin Yi to offset some of the force. But even so, Lin Yi was still seriously injured. Uffed! Lin Yi spat out a mouthful of blood and stood up shakily. At this moment, the most injured parts were his palms, and the bones inside were all shattered. This was a head-on collision, and it was a collision with a mid-earth tier master. Naturally, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to get away with it. On the other hand, although He Shursen's palms were also hurt by Lin Yi's head-on collision, he didn't suffer any major internal injuries at all. He calmly swung his hands and said, "Kid, you're quite strong, but your strength is too low." "Is it low?" Lin Yi panted heavily. His body was using the art of dragon mastery to heal the injured parts of his body. First, it was his palms. Because the surface area was small, it was easier to heal, but the internal injuries were not so easy to heal. Initially, Lin Yi wanted to buy some time, but Yu Shursen didn't continue after saying that. Instead, he raised his palms again and slapped at Lin Yi. This time, it seemed to be even more majestic than before. Die! Right 13's palms instantly arrived in front of Lin Yi. Lin Yi desperately used the art of dragon mastery to protect his heart meridian, to avoid being killed by Right 13. The rest of his true chi was used to support his earth-rank martial skill, Frenzied Fire Fist. Boom! Boom! With another two loud sounds, Lin Yi was sent flying again. This time, the situation was obviously not much better than the last time. Lin Yi had no way to retreat this time, and directly hit the wall behind him. In an instant, the wall was smashed by the huge impact of Lin Yi. The entire wall cracked and collapsed, turning into a pile of rubble. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was pressed under the rubble. This gave Lin Yi a chance to breathe. Lin Yi once again used the art of dragon mastery to heal the injuries on his palms and body. Although there was not much time, he would heal as much as he could. Lin Yi didn't know if he could wait until he recovered from his injuries to condense a true qi bomb. But Lin Yi had to work hard. Of course, Yu Shisun didn't give Lin Yi much time. When he saw that Lin Yi hadn't walked out of the ruins, he didn't have the patience to wait. Instead, he used the earth-level martial arts technique again, and slammed it at the pile of rubble. Damn, can't you rest for a while? Lin Yi almost cried. It was the first time he had seen such an opponent. He only attacked without speaking. So Lin Yi couldn't use his trump card of stalling for time to condense a true qi bomb. Lin Yi had no choice but to bite the bullet and stand up from the ruins. He waved his palms to meet the attack head-on. Boom! Boom! With another 2 loud bangs, Lin Yi was sent flying once more. Wahahaha, Lin Yi, weren't you very arrogant? Weren't you very powerful? You asked the Kong family to scram at the meeting of the aristocratic families? How about now? Have you received your retribution? Kong Mingming laughed happily when he saw Lin Yi retreating step by step. Let me tell you something. It's not time yet. Kong Mingming, you're ruthless. Where did you find such an expert? Lin Yi asked as he healed his injuries. Although Lin Yi's internal injuries were getting more and more serious, every time Lin Yi was injured, he would first repair his palms and meridians. This way, it wouldn't affect the strength of his attacks. As for the rest, Lin Yi could only grit his teeth and endure it. Where? Why should I tell you? Kong Mingming was not stupid. He knew that Lin Yi was trying to get information out of him, so he wouldn't fall for it easily. He's not dead yet. Yu Shisun was also a little surprised. Logically speaking, even if Lin Yi was an Earth-level expert, he should be dead by now. Even if he wasn't dead, he should be so injured that he couldn't get up. How could he still talk? However, although Yu Shisun was surprised, he waved his palms again and hit Lin Yi. His purpose was very simple. He wanted to help Kong Mingming get rid of Lin Yi. So he didn't need to say too much to Lin Yi. Lin Yi flew out again without any suspense, but he miraculously stood up again. This repeated 3 more times, and Yu Shisun finally became a little impatient. This was because his palms were already swollen. Even if Lin Yi was an Earth-level expert in the early stage, which was 2 levels lower than him, under such a high-intensity head-on situation, he still brought a certain amount of damage to Yu Shisun. This made Yu Shisun a little angry. He was famous for his palms, and he was also the best at using palms. However, after slapping Lin Yi so many times, he actually didn't kill Lin Yi. The most unbelievable thing was that Lin Yi's hands weren't crippled. He could still use martial arts to fight against him. Could this kid be a physical cultivator who specialized in training his hands? Thunderstorm Palm. Yu Shisun attacked again in anger, but Lin Yi still countered each move as it came. After spitting out a mouthful of blood, Lin Yi's lips curled into a smile. He thought, even if I can't beat you, I still want to fight. Drops of water can still wear through a stone. As long as I work hard enough, I can grind an iron rod into a needle. Isn't your martial arts a palm technique? Alright then, I'll cripple your palms. Let's see how you're going to fight then. The reason why Lin Yi had such confidence was because Yu Shisun's palms were initially unscathed, but now they were swollen. This gave Lin Yi hope. Again, Lin Yi healed his palms and meridians, stood up, and said to Yu Shisun. Yu Shisun was going crazy. Who the fuck is this? He's still not dead after so many hits. He clearly suffered serious internal injuries, but his hands are still fine. My palms are already swollen, and he still wants to fight again? Enraged, Yu Shisun slapped Lin Yi again, but Lin Yi welcomed it with a smile. Chapter 1745. Although Lin Yi had already suffered severe internal injuries, Lin Yi had to grit his teeth and hold on to his last breath. He knew that he couldn't fall. Once he fell, it would be over for him and Guan Xian. So Lin Yi had to fight. Every time he fell, Lin Yi told himself that he had to stand up, or else there would be nothing left. Another round of attacks began. Lin Yi endured the pain all over his body and wanted to stand up. But this time, he really couldn't stand up. He felt like his body was falling apart, and he was very sleepy and tired. He really wanted to close his eyes. In front of Lin Yi's eyes, the blood stains turned into a white light. He had an urge to be free. It was as if, behind the white light, he saw peace. That was the jade space. As long as he went to the jade space, Lin Yi would be able to rest. He wanted to walk over. Whoosh! A gust of wind beside his ear suddenly woke Lin Yi up. He had almost automatically entered the space of the jade pendant. That was too dangerous. If he had really entered the space of the jade pendant, he would have definitely died today. Lin Yi bit his tongue suddenly, and the pain brought him a moment of clarity. Lin Yi suddenly stood up, raised his fists, and met Right 13's attack. Although Lin Yi seemed to be attacking with full strength every time, he was getting weaker and weaker. Fortunately, Right 13's palm wasn't Wu Qintian's palm. This time in the loud bang, Lin Yi sharply heard the crisp sound of bones breaking. Lin Yi was a doctor, and he was exceptionally sensitive to this sound. He was immediately delighted. He saw results again. Right 13's palm must have been broken by him. This made Lin Yi, who was originally unable to hold on, excited again. Before it was swelling, and now it was broken. If he continued like this, both of Right 13's palms would definitely be crippled. As soon as the thought popped up, Lin Yi suddenly perked up. He quickly channeled the art of dragon mastery, and healed the injuries on his hands and meridians. He then stood up and looked at Right 13 with his head held high. Let's go again. Although Lin Yi's body was covered in blood, and his pale face had a hint of death, Lin Yi's voice was so determined, without a hint of compromise. Although Guan Xian's mouth was sealed and she couldn't speak, her eyes weren't blindfolded. She saw every single scene of the battle between Lin Yi and Right 13. At that moment, Guan Xian's heart felt like it was being stabbed by a knife. She shook her head desperately, and tears fell like rain. She wanted to stop Lin Yi and let him escape quickly, but she couldn't make any sound. Her weak whimpers didn't have any effect at all. Guan Xian was a nurse, and came from a medical family. How could she not see that Lin Yi was now a crossbow? If this continued, Lin Yi would definitely die. When Kong Mingming saw that Lin Yi was still able to get up, he immediately shouted, "Get rid of this kid!" However, U13 was the only one who knew his own situation. His palms were about to be crippled by Lin Yi. He wasn't a physical cultivator. Although he used his palms weren't hard. If this continued, his hands would probably be crippled without a doubt. Although the inner sex palm was crippled, it could be recovered with some medicine and pills. Unlike the outer sect, which would suffer heavy losses. However, after recovery, it would not be as flexible as before. After all, no one was like Lin Yi who could use his own mantra to heal injuries, or use true qi to heal injuries like the Sun family. Relying on medicine was still a little lacking. Moreover, once the bones in his hands were shattered, even if he relied on medicine to recover, he would still be half crippled. Unless there was medicine that was 3rd grade and above to reconnect bones and tendons. However, how could the Hidden Right family have such medicine? It was rare even in the Heavenly Elixir sect. How could they give it to him? Seeing that Lin Yi stood up again, Right 13 was annoyed. Since he became famous, he had never seen an Earth-class expert like Lin Yi who didn't care about his own life. One had to know that it was extremely difficult for an ordinary person to cultivate to Earth-class. Even if it was a battle, they would fight if they could win, and run if they couldn't. Unless there was a fatal blow, there was no room for retaliation. Now Lin Yi clearly had many opportunities to escape. Right 13 was even thinking that if Lin Yi ran, he wouldn't chase after him. However, Lin Yi didn't run. He stood up again and again to fight with him. This made Right 13 feel helpless. He wanted to curse out loud. Did you think it was easy for you to cultivate to Earth class? Did you have to fight to your death and cripple me before you stopped? However, seeing Lin Yi's firm tone and determined gaze, Right 13 knew that this guy was playing with his life. The soft feared the hard feared the unreasonable. and the unreasonable feared the reckless. This saying was also applicable among cultivators. Seeing that Lin Yi still wanted to come again, Right 13 was really a little afraid. Although he was confident that he could kill Lin Yi, the price he would have to pay was too high. He had no enmity with Lin Yi and was only here to help. If he killed Lin Yi, he wouldn't get any benefits. Instead, he would have to pay the price of crippling his palms. It was obvious which was more important. Therefore, when he thought of this, Right 13 retreated a little. He was different from Kong Ming. Whether Lin Yi died or not had nothing to do with him. Young Master Kong, this person is crazy. Let's go. Once the thought of retreating arose, Right 13 didn't want to tangle with Lin Yi anymore. His palms were his, and there was no need to lose them just to curry favor with Kong Ming. Besides, now that he had the pill recipe for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, his mission was considered complete. When he returned to the Yu family, Right Jintian wouldn't blame him. At most, the Kong family would have some complaints. Go. Kong Ming was taken aback. He didn't expect that Right 13, who had the upper hand and was forcing Lin Yi to retreat, would suddenly want to leave. However, Right 13 didn't answer. Instead, he flew over and picked up Kong Ming. Although his hands were in pain, and he really didn't want to run away with a person, if he left Kong Ming here, the Yu family would inevitably be criticized by others. They would say that the Yu family got rid of the donkey when it was no longer of use. If that happened, who would work for the Yu family in the future? Take her away too. Kong Ming wasn't willing to fail just like that. How could he let Guan Xan go so easily before he got the recipe? One more person wasn't a difficult thing for Right 13. Since he had already brought one up, there was no need for a second. However, just as Right 13's hand was about to grab Guan Xan, he suddenly felt a strong gust of wind coming at him from behind. Put her down. Lin Yi waved his fists and rushed at Right 13 as if his life depended on it. Target =_blank. Chapter 1746. His life hangs by a thread. Chapter 1751. His life hangs by a thread. It could be said that Lin Yi's entire body was full of openings. But this kind of reckless madness made Yu Shisan shudder. He subconsciously let go of Guan Xan, and suddenly met Lin Yi with his palm. Bang! There was a loud noise as Lin Yi's fists collided with Yu Shisan's palm again. Every time they collided, Lin Yi suffered a fatal blow. Now that Lin Yi was like a crossbow, this palm almost made Lin Yi spit out his organs. However, Lin Yi did not compromise. He gritted his teeth, endured the pain in his body, and forcefully took the palm. His mouth was full of blood, but he said firmly, "You can leave, but if you take her away, I'll fight you to the death." Yu Shisan was really afraid of Lin Yi. This time, he clearly felt that the degree of fracture in his palm was much greater than before. Although he could kill Lin Yi if he continued to fight, what was the point of killing him? What if his palm was crippled? Yu Shisan glanced at Lin Yi, took a deep breath, and quickly left the place with Kong Ming without saying a word. As for Guan Xan, he was not in the mood to catch her. It was not worth it to compete with a lunatic like Lin Yi. Lin Yi's somewhat thin figure stood there and watched Yu Shisan leave. When he was far away, he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. That was close. Lin Yi thought to himself. The only thing that kept him going was his willpower. If he were to fall, then both he and Guan Xan would be done for. So he gritted his teeth and persevered. He could see Yu Shisan's concerns, and so he fought him with his life on the line. Fortunately, Yu Shisan couldn't take it anymore, so he gave up. Lin Yi gritted his teeth, tore the ropes on Guan Xan's body, and tore the seal on her mouth. Lin Yi! Guan Xan cried out as tears streamed down her cheeks. Lin Yi waved his hand and interrupted Guan Xan. I can't hold on much longer. Tang Yun's car is just outside the door, under the shade of the tree. After that, Lin Yi fell to the ground. This time, Lin Yi could no longer stand up because Lin Yi was sure that Right 13 had left, so he had no scruples in his heart and could no longer hold on. Apart from his palms, There was not a single part of his body that was not injured. The moment he fainted, Lin Yi also entered the space of the jade pendant. Phew! Lin Yi could finally breathe a sigh of relief. As long as he didn't lose his life, there was a possibility of recovery. After entering the space of the jade pendant, Lin Yi felt a wave of lingering fear. This time, he almost lost his life. It was a complete fluke that Lin Yi was able to escape. First of all, Right 13 did not know Lin Yi's background. Seeing Lin Yi stand up again and again, he was scared by Lin Yi's madness. However, Lin Yi knew that if the person he met today was not Right 13, but someone who had a deep hatred for him, it would definitely not be easy today. Also, if Right 13 did not practice martial arts that only relied on his palms, if he supplemented it with martial arts that relied on his legs or weapons, then it would be useless for Lin Yi even if he risked his life today. All along, Lin Yi had been conceded that he could fight opponents who were of a higher level than him. He relied on his trump card of condensing qi. This trump card allowed Lin Yi to be successful in every endeavor. Even when facing masters who were stronger than him, he was still calm. However, today it made Lin Yi feel deeply frustrated. Above the earth stage, it was completely different. If the opponent had martial arts and started fighting as soon as they came up, then Lin Yi would have no advantage at all. He could only rely on his hot-bloodedness to fight with the opponent. This time he was lucky. Next time he might die. For the first time, Lin Yi had a deep desire and expectation for martial arts. Without martial arts to compete with the opponent, it was difficult for him to move forward. But to find a martial technique that was suitable for him to cultivate, it was even more difficult. Lin Yi had not touched the essence of Faubert's martial arts. He only cultivated it roughly. If he really fought with the opponent, he would definitely be at a disadvantage. Just like today, if it was not for Lin Yi's ability to quickly recover from his injuries, he would have died long ago. The art of dragon mastery must have the existence of a martial arts technique that went with it. Only a martial arts technique that was compatible with the mantra could exert the greatest effect. This was also the reason why Faubert did not advise Lin Yi to casually cultivate martial arts. Right now, Lin Yi could not wait to return home. He wanted to open the second layer of the stone door. He wanted to see what kind of benefits awaited him behind the second layer of the stone door. It would be best if there was a powerful martial arts technique that could solve Lin Yi's current problem. As for Jiao Yazi, Lin Yi was too lazy to ask. At the moment, his memory had not been unlocked, so Lin Yi could not get any information from him. What he wanted to know he already knew. There was no need to ask anymore. Therefore, the first thing Lin Yi did after entering the space of the jade pendant was to cultivate. Guan Xian looked at Lin Yi on the ground. For a moment, she did not know what to do. But when she remembered Lin Yi's last sentence, she hurriedly carried Lin Yi on her back. She did not know where a weak girl like her got her strength from. Although Lin Yi was not heavy, it was still a bit of a stretch for Guan Xian. But Guan Xian did it, and did it without any pressure at all. She even forgot about Lin Yi's weight. She only had one thought in her mind, and that was to be moved. Deeply moved. She never would have thought that Lin Yi would risk his life to save her. All this while, although Guan Xian had a crush on Lin Yi did not respond to her at all. He only treated her as a friend. This made Guan Xian feel a little disappointed. But at this moment, Guan Xian realized how important she was to Lin Yi. Lin Yi's strength was obviously not as strong as Yu Shisan, but Lin Yi risked his life to save her. Guan Xian really did not know how to repay Lin Yi. She only knew that if Lin Yi was fine, she could even die in his place. Looking at Lin Yi's dying body, Guan Xian was scared. She was really scared. She was afraid that she would never see Lin Yi again. She would feel guilty for the rest of her life. Guan Xian quickly ran out of the arena with Lin Yi on her back. Kong Mingming's car was long gone. Guan Xian looked around and saw a Jeep Cherokee under the shade of a tree not far away. It must be Lin Yi's car. The people in the car saw Guan Xian coming out with Lin Yi on her back and quickly got out of the car. Tang Yun, Ming Yao, and Yushu were also very anxious. They saw that Yu Shisan drove away with Kong Mingming, and Lenny didn't come out for a long time. They were worried, but Lenny told them not to go and check. They could only wait patiently. #target=_blank. Chapter 1747. Chapter 1752. Apology. But when they saw Guan Exine coming out of the arena with Lenny on her back, they couldn't hold it in anymore and ran over to her. Lenny! Tang Yin couldn't help but scream when she saw Guan Exine's unconscious body covered in blood. What's wrong with him? He got hurt trying to save me. Guan Exine's tears hadn't dried yet, and she couldn't hold it in anymore. Meng Yao and the others didn't look too good after hearing Guan Exine's words. How could they be happy that Lenny had gotten so heavily injured just to save Guan Exine? Tang Yin had always thought of Guan Exine as a love rival, and she wasn't as close to her as she was to Meng Yao. Meng Yao and Yushu, on the other hand, didn't like Guan Exine at all. Lenny got hurt in the bank because of her, and now he was doing it again. Give me Lenny. Meng Yao didn't want Guan Exine to carry Lenny anymore. We rushed back from the journey for you, and Lenny got hurt like this. Tang Yin's face darkened as well, but she still spoke up. Forget it, Yao Yao. This isn't the time to talk about responsibility. Let's get Lenny home first. Aren't we going to the hospital? Guan Exine was surprised. No need, Meng Yao said coldly. She didn't know why, but Meng Yao wasn't happy. What was the relationship between Lin Yi and Guan Exine? Why would he risk his life to save her? But Meng Yao felt like she was the eunuch panicking instead of the emperor? Tang Yin didn't say anything, so why was she panicking? Right, she was fighting for Tang Yin. That's it, Meng Yao thought. Guan Exine could see Meng Yao's hostility towards her, and she didn't know what to do. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. Guan Exine was worried about Lin Yi, and now she couldn't hold it in anymore. She was worried about Lin Yi too, and she didn't want Lin Yi to be like this. But she couldn't say anything, and she couldn't stop them. All right, Guan Exine sis, we're not blaming you. Tang Yin knew that as long as Lin Yi wasn't dead, there was hope for him to recover. This had happened many times in the past, so she wasn't too worried about him. Seeing that Lin Yi was still breathing, her tone became better. Yao Yao is also very anxious, but he came to save you. It was his own decision. You don't need to feel too guilty. Meng Yao rolled her eyes at Tang Yin's words. I'm fighting for you, and you're soft-hearted again. But Tang Yin was soft-hearted, and Meng Yao knew that Xiao Xiao wouldn't have become Lin Yi's small wife if it weren't for that. And she and Yushu wouldn't have allowed Lin Yi to stay in the villa. And so Meng Yao didn't say anything else. She was a soft-hearted person, and after hearing Tang Yin's words, she realized that it was Lin Yi's decision to save Guan Exine. So it wasn't Guan Exine's fault. Meng Yao put Lin Yi in the car, and the driver was Guan Xuemin's house. She wasn't too happy with Guan Exine, but Lin Yi was in a situation like this, and Xuemin was the only one who could save him if something happened to him. Lin Yi could heal himself, but he was worried that accidents might happen. I'm sorry. It's all my fault, I got kidnapped. Guan Exine said guiltily. It's nothing. My attitude just now wasn't very good, I'm sorry. Meng Yao didn't want to put Lin Yi in a difficult position, so she didn't say anything. She was different from Tang Yin, who'd interacted with Guan Exine a couple of times, but Meng Yao and Guan Exine were just acquaintances. Lin Yi can heal himself, but we'll have to ask your grandpa to check if there's anything else. Tang Yin explained. Of course we'll do our best. Guan Exine nodded. I don't think it's necessary. Shield Bro's looking better and better. He's probably healing himself now. Yushu had been paying attention to Lin Yi's changes on the road. Oh, that's great. Tang Yin turned around to look at Lin Yi, and as expected, Lin Yi looked much better than before. Tang Yin let out a breath of relief. Guan Exine's tense heart relaxed after hearing Yushu's words. As long as Lin Yi was fine, everything was fine. Otherwise, she'd die of guilt for the rest of her life. Guan Xuemin was happy when he heard that his granddaughter was fine, but he was shocked when he heard that Lin Yi was on the verge of death. He rushed out of the villa and looked at Lin Yi with a serious expression. Is it that serious? Grandpa Guan, Lin Yi can heal himself, He should be fine now, don't worry too much. Tang Yin was very polite to Guan Xuemin. She knew that he was Lin Yi's business partner, so he was also Lin Yi's elder. We came here to wait and see. If there are any other problems, we'll ask for your help. After all, Lin Yi's injury is the most serious this time. Okay. Guan Xuemin didn't find it strange that Lin Yi could heal himself. Lin Yi was a doctor, and a miracle doctor at that. It wasn't strange that he could heal himself, but it was the first time Guan Xuemin heard that he could heal himself by lying down. However, Lin Yi was a practitioner, and he couldn't be judged by common sense. Guan Xuemin quickly helped Tang Yin and the others move Lin Yi to the villa. After settling Lin Yi, Ming Yao and the others sat in the living room, and the atmosphere became a little awkward. Although Tang Yin said that she didn't blame Guan Xian on the way here, Guan Xian still felt uncomfortable. Lin Yi suffered so much for her, and she didn't know how to repay Lin Yi. For a girl, especially a beautiful girl, repaying a hero with her body was the best way to repay a hero. It sounded a little cliché, but it was a principle that never changed. The hero saved the beauty, and the beauty loved the hero. In Guan Xian's heart, she had a good impression of Lin Yi. But now, even if Guan Xian wanted to repay him with her body, Tang Yin wouldn't agree. Guan Xian was older, after all, and had been working for quite some time. She had more experience in society than Tang Yin and the others, and she could tell with one look that Ming Yao and Yushu were interested in Lin Yi. Of course, they could also be good friends. Guan Xian was just a woman's intuition. Tang Yin, I've troubled Lin Yi this time. Because of my family's matters, I've caused him to get injured. I'm really sorry. Guan Xuemin sighed and said, I'd like to apologize for delaying your trip. Hashtag. Chapter 1748. Chapter 1753. Wake up Grandpa Guan, you're exaggerating. Tang Yin stood up in a panic. Guan Xian is Lin Yi's good friend, and this was Lin Yi's decision as well. You don't need to explain to us. Lin Yi's decision is one we support. Besides, didn't we get out of danger this time? Although Lin Yi's injuries are quite serious, he can still recover on his own. Ming Yao and Yushu were a little embarrassed by the words, and Ming Yao added in, yeah, Lin Yi's always been a hot-blooded man to his friends. When Shu and I were kidnapped, he was the one who risked his life to protect us. The misunderstanding and awkwardness between the two disappeared in an instant. Thinking about it, Lin Yi got injured when he helped Tang Yin, and when he saved Ming Yao and Shu. This was Lin Yi's personality, and it wasn't worth it to hurt their relationship. The only thing they could do now was wait for Lin Yi to wake up. Lin Yi was lying on the bed, but he knew what was going on outside. He let out a sigh of relief when he heard that the people outside were no longer arguing about him. It was indeed dangerous this time, and Lin Yi would have to think twice if something like this happened again in the future. A battle between Earth-class masters was different from a mystic class. Once they used their techniques, the situation would be different. If Lin Yi were to be as impulsive as before, he'd definitely be at a disadvantage. With the idea of opening the second stone door, Lin Yi couldn't wait to return home. He worked hard to heal his injuries, but Lin Yi's injuries were too serious this time. Even though Lin Yi was an Earth class now, and his recovery speed was much faster than when he was a mystic class, it still took him 1 day and 1 night to fully recover. When Lin Yi came out of the space of the jade pendant, it was already the evening of the next day. Ming Yao, Yushu, Tang Yin, Guan Xuemin, and Guan Xian didn't sleep at all. They had ordered takeout during the day, but Lin Yi didn't wake up. No one had an appetite, so the food was piled up on the coffee table. However, after a night of not resting, everyone was exhausted. Therefore, they closed their eyes and rested, but they didn't fall asleep. Lin Yi walked out of the living room and saw everyone in the living room. He couldn't help but feel warm in his heart. There's so much delicious food. Haven't you eaten? Are they all waiting for me? I'm starving. If you don't eat, I'll eat it all. Lin Yi, you're awake. Guan Xian was the one who felt the most guilty. She didn't understand Lin Yi the most. Tang Yin and Ming Yao both said that Lin Yi was fine, and that he could recover on his own. But Guan Xian wasn't so sure. Even when she was resting, she was still worried. When she heard Lin Yi's voice, she was the first to jump up. She looked at Lin Yi in surprise. You're fine. Yeah, I'm fine. Lin Yi smiled bitterly as he looked at his bloody clothes. Let's eat something first, then take a shower and change my clothes. You guys don't mind, do you? Of course not. Guan Xian looked at the energetic Lin Yi and shook her head excitedly. See, I told you that Shield Bro was fine. He's the best. Yushu had been the calmest person from the start. She had an inexplicable confidence in Lin Yi. Are we going to find Kong Ming Ming for revenge now? Revenge? Of course we will, but not now. Lin Yi's eyes sharpened. He didn't know why House Kong had invited an Earth class. He didn't know what their relationship was with House Kong. Even if Lin Yi wanted to take revenge, he had to think twice. He was lucky enough to escape this time. But he wouldn't be so lucky if he was surrounded by 2 or more Earth class masters. Shu, don't talk nonsense. Lin Yi knows what he's doing. Meng Yao didn't want Yushu to get into trouble. It's fine, haha. Lin Yi smiled. He picked up a drumstick and started eating. Right, Xian. Who's that Earth class master? Did Kong Ming Ming mention him before? He didn't. Guan Xian thought about it carefully and shook her head. That master seemed to be a man of few words. He didn't speak at all. He only responded a few times when Kong Xiaoming talked to him. But he didn't address him as well. Lin Yi nodded. It seemed like he wouldn't be able to get any useful information from Guan Xian. He could only try to find out from the side. Elder Guan, let's keep a low profile for the company. I'll talk to Fatty Lai. We shouldn't have any conflicts with House Kong for now. We'll talk about it when I come back. Lin Yi's trip back to his hometown this time was to bring Tang Yun and Ming Yao on a vacation. But in reality, it was to open the second stone door. As a result, Lin Yi couldn't allow any mishaps. He wouldn't be able to take care of Songshan's situation when he got to West Star Village. The medical company, on the other hand, kept a low profile for now. As long as they didn't have any conflicts with House Kong, there shouldn't be any problems. After all, House Kong had gotten the recipe for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. It would be extremely difficult for them to develop the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. If they focused all their energy on this, they wouldn't have the time to cause trouble for Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. This gave Lin Yi some breathing space. As long as he could catch his breath, he'd be able to turn the tables and wash away the humiliation he'd suffered. After all, Lin Yi was very confident in the second stage of the art of dragon mastery. The first stage was already very overpowered. How strong would the second stage be? I understand, Yi. Don't worry, we won't act rashly when you're not here, Guan Shuimin said. Haha, alright, let's eat. It was a close shave this time. Yun Yao Shu, what's with your faces? Lin Yi said as he ate. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief when they saw that Lin Yi was fine. They were starting to feel hungry, and so they started eating with Lin Yi. Inside House Kang's villa, Yu Zhentian came and sat in the main seat in the living room. Behind him was Yu San. Opposite him was House Kang's old man Dr. Kong. Behind Dr. Kong was Kong Ming Ming. The cooperation between House Yu and House Kong was quite successful. Although Yu San was injured in the end, they got the recipe for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. I thought it was some good stuff. Turns out it's just a recipe for an injury medicine and a painkiller. Do you guys have to be like this? When Yu Zhentian found out that Kong Ming Ming wanted these 2 recipes, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Hashtag. Chapter 1749. Dr. Kong was stunned. So was Kong Ming. I wouldn't have asked Right San to help you if I knew it was this kind of prescription. I didn't expect Lin Yi to be so desperate. If it wasn't for Right San's decisiveness in retreating, Lin Yi would have been crippled even if he had to kill him. Yu Zhentian couldn't help but shake his head when he heard the situation. He really didn't expect Lin Yi to be like that. Yeah, It's a good thing Lin Yi didn't come and obediently hand over the prescription for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. Otherwise, he would have come at us with his life. We might have gotten nothing. Kong Mingming was still fearful after understanding what happened. At that time, he was still wondering why Right Shursen ran away after gaining the upper hand. So there was more to it. Young Master you mean? Dr. Kong asked carefully. If you want the formula for injury medicine and analgesics, our Yu family has it too. Yu Jintian said arrogantly. This is the most basic prescription. Do you need to take such a risk? I could have given it to you earlier. Why bother? You have it. Dr. Kong was startled, then his face lit up with joy. Of course. It's normal for us martial artists to treat injuries and relieve pain, Yu Jintian nodded. But Miracle Dr. Guan's medicine company's injury medicine and painkillers are not only effective, but they're also cheap. Kong Mingming said. We have the prescription for golden creation too, but it's expensive. It's not competitive at all. That's easy. You want the cheaper one, right? We also have a golden creation prescription that's slightly lower in quality. It's quite cheap. Your bottle only costs a few yuan. It's the same for the painkillers too. You can get it for a few yuan. Yu Jintian said. Of course, the effect won't be as miraculous as yours. Your golden creation can stop bleeding in a few seconds. Mine takes more than 10 seconds. His painkillers take effect immediately, but mine takes a few minutes. Is there a problem with that? No problem. There's no problem at all. Dr. Kong was overjoyed and said, who can feel such a small difference in effectiveness? Even if there is a gap, our prices are cheap, and we can still occupy a certain market share. This time, we must take back the market share that we have lost. Thank you, young master Yu. Kong Mingming also expressed his gratitude. That's nothing much. It's just a small matter. Oh right. Since you guys are in the medical business, we can entrust you to sell some of our elixirs in the future. This way, not only will you guys earn a reputation, you will also have money. Since Right Jintian had obtained the elixir formula, he was naturally very generous to the Kong family. Thank you so much. Kong Mingming said excitedly. In the future, our Kong family will rely on the Yu family. For the Yu family and the Kong family, this cooperation was a win-win situation. Both sides had obtained the benefits they wanted. As for Lin Yi, he was ready to embark on his journey again. Elder Guan Xinxin, we'll be leaving now. We won't disturb you anymore. If there's anything, call us anytime. Lin Yi and the others finished their lunch and were ready to leave. Okay, be careful on the road, Guan Xuemin said. Guan Exan stood at the side, wanting to say something but hesitating. She wanted to say something, but she couldn't because Tang Yin and Ming Yao were there. Xinxin, what do you want to say? Lin Yi saw Guan Exan's strange expression and asked. Guan Exan pursed her lips, not knowing what to say. Hee, Yunyan Yao Yao Shu, wait for me in the car. Lin Yi saw that Guan Exan didn't want to say it in front of others, so he ordered. Okay. Tang Yun wasn't jealous. Since Lin Yi saved Guan Exan, it was enough to show how important Guan Exan was in Lin Yi's heart. However, the two hadn't developed into a couple yet, so Tang Yun wasn't too worried. If they wanted to develop, they would have done so long ago. It wasn't something that could be changed in a short period of time. If they really wanted to develop, she wouldn't be able to stop it. Meng Yao and Yushu didn't say anything. From their point of view, Guan Exan probably wanted to say some words of thanks in private, so they got in the car with Tang Yun. Can you say it now? Lin Yi smiled. Guan Exan blushed, a little embarrassed. I'm going to quit my job soon to study more advanced medical knowledge. I won't be able to see you before I leave, so I wanted to say goodbye in advance. Oh, you've made up your mind? Lin Yi knew about Guan Exan. Yes, I'll be leaving in a few days, Guan Exan said. Study hard and improve every day. Lin Yi wanted to encourage Guan Exan, but that was all he could think of. Guan Exan couldn't help but smile. I'm not a kid anymore, of course I'll work hard. That's a good thing, and it's also one of Grandpa Guan's wishes, Lin Yi said. Yeah, Lin Yi, I'm going to study. It might be pretty strict. I don't think I'll have time to come back often. We won't be able to see each other often. Guan Xian lowered her head, a little embarrassed. After a while, she mustered up all her courage and said, "Wait for me to come back, I'll be your assistant for sure." Linny paused, then smiled. "Okay, I'll wait for you." Medical knowledge was only a support to Linny. It was what Linny was after. But since Guan Xian had this thought, he didn't want to discourage her. Guan Xian nodded. "Then goodbye, have a safe journey." "Okay." Linny didn't say anything else and got in the car. As for what Guan Xian and Linny talked about, Tang Yun and the others didn't ask. Everyone had their own thoughts, and asking too much would make it seem like they didn't trust Linny. Before she left, Mingyao gave Pingzhan a call. She hadn't gone home yet, and while it was only halfway through, she still had to let her family know. "Hello. Yao Yao, what do you need from Daddy?" Pengzhan's voice sounded very excited after the call was connected, as if he had found something good. "Daddy, something happened on the way, so we came back. We're in Songshan now, we haven't left yet. Where are you? Should we go see you?" Mingyao asked. "I'm busy at the company, so don't come. Go have fun, I've been too busy lately. I can't spend time with you guys." Pengzhan said. On the other side of the phone, someone was saying something to Pengzhan. "That's fine, Daddy, take care of yourself, don't overwork yourself," Mingyao reminded. Chapter 1750. Don't worry, Daddy's big project is starting to pay off. It's only been a few days, and the company's cash flow has more than doubled. Haha. Pengzhan couldn't help but laugh as he spoke. Alright, congratulations. Mingyao didn't know much about the company's operations, but earning money was a good thing after all. Alright, Yao Yao, enjoy yourself. Daddy needs to do something. There's something I need to do here. Pengzhan said. Okay, bye, Daddy. Mingyao hung up and shook her head. She turned to Linny. Let's go, Daddy's too busy, he doesn't have time. Linny wanted to say something, but he didn't say anything after some hesitation. He didn't know much about business, but he'd overheard Mingyao's conversation from the sidelines. It didn't make sense for a company like Pengzhan to be able to double their capital in such a short amount of time. Pengzhan Industries wasn't a tech company. They didn't have any inventions, so there was no way they could double their capital in such a short amount of time. But Pengzhan was a veteran in the business world, and he shouldn't make any mistakes. Pengzhan Industries received a call from Mingyue just as he hung up. Rowan, how's it going? Pengzhan asked. Haha, congratulations. We've earned another 10% from our investment. And Mingyue said proudly. No way. We earned that much again. Pengzhan said surprised. Of course. This trader is a master Zhang Wen met when he was studying abroad. He's quite familiar with the futures market. And Mingyue said, if he hadn't offended someone overseas, he wouldn't have come to me. Then, should we increase our investment? Pengzhan asked, a little tempted. Forget it, it's just for fun. We all have our own businesses, it's fine. And Mingyue said, plus Bro Chu, do you still have money? All your businesses are real estate, right? That's true. I'll think about it. Pengzhan said, a little regretful. Okay, that's all for now. I'll let you know if there's any news. And Mingyue said, all right, thanks for the trouble, Broen. Pengzhan said quickly. After hanging up, and Mingyue gave Zhang Wen a thumbs up. Zhang Wen, that's a good idea. You've tricked Chu Pengzhan step by step. And it's just as you expected, he's going to invest more. Of course. Who wouldn't be tempted by such a huge profit? Zhang Wen said, let's wait a bit longer. We'll provoke him a bit more in a couple of days. I think he'll act up soon. But what if he stops while he's ahead? Won't we lose money? And Mingyue was a little worried. After all, it was all just a story and Mingyue had made up. And the money Pengzhan had brought over was still in Mingyue's company account. And Mingyue had only told Pengzhan about it when she saw that it was making money. Don't worry, father. The hypnotist has already given him a hint. He'll go crazy for sure. Zhang Wen said without worry. At that time, the entire Pengzhan Industries will be ours. And I'm relieved now that you've said that. And Mingyue nodded. On this day, Lin Yi and the others arrived at a small town near the highway. They were planning to eat and stay for the night. They were getting closer and closer to West Star Village. Lin Yi didn't travel day and night. He was a practitioner, but Tang Yun and the others weren't. They wouldn't be able to rest well in the car, and they'd be very tired the next day. Plus, they'd stayed at various small towns, and they'd stroll around the town's market at night. This was also Meng Yao and Yushu's first time on a road trip. They used to travel a lot, but they didn't know how to drive, so they'd never experienced this kind of stop-and-go experience. At night, they had dinner near the Express Hotel, and as usual, they went to the town's night market. There weren't many shops in the town, only a huge market. Here they could buy all sorts of things. Meng Yao and the others lived in a big city, so they hadn't experienced it before. However, this place wasn't too different from a night market. Of course, the market mostly sold local products and daily necessities. It wasn't like the city's night market that sold snacks and trinkets. As for local specialties, they no longer bought any. The trunk of the car was already full. Originally, they planned to buy some local specialties every time they went to a place, but as they bought and bought, they unknowingly had too much. If they bought any more, they would not be able to fit it all. So, they were just here to watch. I heard that the bastard hunted today and killed a legendary black phoenix? Black phoenix? I think it's wild. Who knows? But the price is so high, only an idiot would buy it. Yeah, even if it's a phoenix, it can't fly after eating it. You only know how to eat. He killed it. What else can it do other than eat? That's true. Lin Yi and the others were walking around the market looking at the local specialties, when they overheard two stall owners talking at a nearby stall. Out of curiosity, Lin Yi asked casually, "What's a black phoenix?" "Who knows? I heard it's a black phoenix, a spirit beast in the dark night mountain. Of course, it's just a legend. I think it's a black chicken," the stall owner answered casually. Oh, Lin Yi was just asking casually. But when he heard it was a spirit beast, his heart skipped a beat. Spirit beast? What's that? Is it like those animals in the novels that can fly? Spirit beast? I don't know what a spirit beast is, but the older generation said that there are spirit beasts on this mountain. But they're very rare. It's said that drinking their blood can prolong one's life. The stall owner said, "As for what you're talking about, I've never heard of it." "Okay, thank you." Lin Yi nodded. "Shield bro, are you going to see that black phoenix?" Yushu guessed Lin Yi's intention when she saw him stand up. "Yeah, I want to join in the fun." Lin Yi didn't say it clearly. "It's over there. You guys can go take a look. But that thing hee, only an idiot would buy it." The stall owner pointed at a direction in the market. Lin Yi didn't say anything else. He brought Tang Yun and the others to the direction the stall owner pointed to. Chapter 1751. As expected, there was a group of people surrounding a stall to watch the show. Behind the stall stood a burly man. Above his head was a signboard with the words, "Wang Ba Hunter's Specialty" written on it. Beside Wang Ba was a chopping board. On the chopping board, there were some beast carcasses. There were wild boars, robes, pheasants, etc. But at the front of the chopping board, the most conspicuous place, there was a black pheasant-like animal carcass. "I say, Wang Ba, are you crazy for money? Is this a black phoenix?" A young man pointed at the black pheasant's carcass and said to the man called Wang Ba, "I've checked the catalog. This is clearly the legendary black phoenix. If you don't want to buy it, just stand aside and watch. There will always be someone who knows." Wang Ba didn't seem to want to argue with the young man. "TCH, the black phoenix is a legendary spirit beast. Although I do not know what a spirit beast is. Since it is a spirit beast, it must be very powerful. With your level of skill, you think you can kill a spirit beast?" The young man said, unconvinced. Wang Ba was embarrassed, but he said, "If you say it's not, then it's not. I'll sell it just like this. 10,000, take it or leave it. If not, I'll go home and eat it myself." Lin Yi looked at the black phoenix and frowned. Lin Yi also came from a mountain village, His little brother Gooden's family was a hunter, so Linny had some understanding of pheasants. This thing in front of him was definitely not a pheasant. Although the two were similar, they were definitely different. Linny didn't know what it was exactly, so he couldn't rule out the possibility of it being a spirit beast. As for Wang Ba being able to kill spirit beasts, it wasn't surprising. Spirit beasts like the skybolt pig, that didn't have any attack abilities, were easy to kill. Not all spirit beasts had attack abilities. Moreover, spirit beasts had different levels of strength. However, Linny was a little confused. There were spirit beasts nearby. Generally, the places where spirit beasts appeared were places with extremely dense heaven and earth spiritual qi. Those places were often occupied by sects and clans. Could it be that there were sects nearby? 10,000 yuan. Although it wasn't a lot for Linny, it was already a sky-high price for these simple mountain people. Therefore, they looked at Wang Laolu with ridicule. Most of the people nearby were here to watch the show, but there wasn't anyone who was interested in buying it. If Wang Laolu was sold for a few hundred yuan, someone might buy it to try it. However, it was not worth it to buy a pheasant for 10,000 yuan. Is this a phoenix? Linny asked. Wang Laolu had faced too many questions today, so he didn't want to answer Lin Yi's question. However, when he looked up, he saw that Lin Yi and the others were obviously wearing big city clothes. They must be a few tourists from other places, so his eyes lit up. Maybe these city people knew their stuff, so he introduced them with a smile. You are tourists from other places, right? Yeah, that's why I'm curious. Linny nodded with a smile. That's right, you don't know the legend around here. Wang Laolu said seriously. The town we live in is called Dark Night Town, and there's a mountain nearby called Dark Night Spirit Mountain. The mountain range around it is called Dark Night Mountain, and that's where I hunt. Dark Night Spirit Mountain? Linny paused. Why did it sound like an ice mountain? Was it really a place with dense qi? There were spirit beasts in the ice mountain. Naturally, Linny knew about this. For example, the white python that Chi-Chi had met was a spirit beast. At least, Linny didn't know of any other species that was the same as the white python. It was a snake, but it wasn't a snake. The skybolt pig beside Linny was the same. It was a pig, but it didn't really look like one. How could there be such a small pig? It was like the chibi pig in the manga. These were all mutated spirit beasts that lived in places with dense qi. Zhang Liju's tomb was the same. Yes, according to the older generation, a long time ago, there was a sect on the Dark Night Spirit Mountain called the Dark Night Palace. It was a very powerful sect. The people there were all martial arts masters, and they could live forever. Old Wang said. And near the Dark Night Palace, there were some spiritual beasts. These spiritual beasts were different from normal beasts. They had intelligence, and could become immortals just like the people of the Dark Night Palace. Among them, the most famous was a black phoenix called the Dark Phoenix. Legend has it that those who eat the Dark Phoenix can live forever. Wang Laolu, are you trying to scare people with the fairy tales that put your kids to sleep? Beside Wang Laoyo's stall, a woman selling goods at a hunter's stall couldn't help but tease him. Today, Wang Laolu had hunted a strange pheasant, and while he didn't sell it, he did sell quite a lot of other beasts. It affected his business, and the woman wasn't too happy about it. Fairy tales aren't necessarily fake. Didn't you hear this story when you were young? You grew up with a naked baby, and listened to a grandpa selling popcorn telling stories under the shade of a big tree. Didn't you believe it too? Wang Laolu retorted. And like I said, it's from the older generation. It's not like I made it up. What are you so worried about? Humph. The woman didn't know what to say, but she still humphed. All right, Uncle Wang, can you continue? Linny smiled. I think it's quite interesting. All right, then let's continue. They say that people who eat the Dark Phoenix can live forever, and they can even become willing masters. Wang Laolu said, if it's that good, why don't you eat it yourself? The woman curled her lips in disdain. It's useless for a rough person like me to eat it. And I don't know how to eat it. It's better to sell it for money. Wang Laoyo's face turned red. In fact, he didn't really believe in legends, or else why would he sell it? Sounds good. Let's buy it then. Can you make it cheaper? Lenny asked calmly, but in his heart, he was in a state of shock. The legend might not be groundless. On the Dark Knight spiritual mountain, there might really be a Dark Knight palace. Perhaps it was an existence similar to the Ice Palace, that kind of ancient sect, but they didn't come into contact with the secular world. So these people thought it was just a legend. It's not cheap. I, Wang Laolu, have already said it. If I can't sell it for 10,000, I'll take it back and put it into soup. Wang Laolu was a straightforward person, and he cared about his reputation. Chapter 1752. I see. Have you been to that Dark Knight Spirit Mountain? Lenny asked. Who would dare to go there? It's the middle of the mountain, and in the middle of the Dark Knight Mountain, there's a natural moat. It's a ring-shaped ravine, so deep that you can't see the bottom. Who can climb over it? Wang Laolu shook his head. Plus, it's always shrouded in mist. I'm afraid you won't be able to come back. I see. Lenny nodded. So you're saying that the Black Phoenix came from there? Of course, you didn't see how high it flew. It's quite high. Luckily, I'm an experienced hunter, otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to catch it. Wang Laolu bragged proudly. Who doesn't know how to brag? The woman couldn't help but say. Haha, fine. If that's the case, I'll buy it and try it. Lenny nodded and took out a stack of cash from his backpack. He passed it to Wang Laolu. You really bought it? Wang Laolu couldn't believe his eyes. He earned 10,000 yuan in a blink of an eye. Yes, I'll try it on the road. Haha. Lenny laughed. In fact, he didn't know why he spent 10,000 yuan on this so-called Black Phoenix. However, when he saw the Black Phoenix, the jade seemed to give him a strong hint, and he had the urge to buy it. Okay. Wang Laolu was overjoyed. He quickly packed up the Black Phoenix and gave it to Lenny. He took the 10,000 yuan, as if he was afraid that Lenny would regret it. After Lenny bought the Black Phoenix, he didn't stop. He brought Tang Yun, Chu Mengyao, and Shu back to the hotel. Wang Laolu kept the 10,000 yuan under everyone's envious eyes. To the people of the town, this was not a small amount of income. As for the woman at the stall next to them, she was incomparably jealous. Fortunately, the onlookers had all dispersed, and her business had also recovered. Just when everyone was sighing at Wang Laolu's luck, Lenny was already targeted. Shield bro, this doesn't look like the way back to the hotel. Did you remember wrongly? Yushu noticed that Lin Yi seemed to be walking further and further away, until he came to a very remote place. There were no villages or shops in front of him, and all he could see was a field of crops. Lin Yi stopped and turned around, blocking Tang Yun, Mengyao, and Yushu behind him. You've been following us for so long, shouldn't you come out now? Behind Lin Yi, 3 people suddenly appeared on the empty path. They were all masked and dressed in black. The leader seemed surprised that Lin Yi had discovered them. How did you discover us? You've been following me since the market. If I didn't realize it, wouldn't I be too slow? Lin Yi didn't answer the man's question directly. Instead, he asked a question of his own. You even know this? The leader was surprised. Kid, if you've discovered us, then so be it. If that's the case, then take out all your belongings. TSK, 10,000 to buy a wild chicken. You're really rich. If you don't share some with us, it'll be unforgivable. You're here, and you're not running away. Instead, you're asking for money. I've never seen someone as stupid as you. Lin Yi shook his head. What do you mean? The leader paused. Why don't you take a look at where we are? Do you think a tourist would come to a place like this in the middle of the night? 3 golden class masters? Lin Yi asked faintly. You. Who are you? The leader felt that something was wrong. Yeah, Lin Yi and these tourists. What were they trying to do by coming to a place like this? And when Lin Yi pointed out their strengths, the leader finally understood that they weren't good people. They probably lured them here on purpose. Otherwise, if they dared to lure them here knowing that they were golden class masters, then they must have something up their sleeves. Tourists. Lin Yi answered faintly. What about you guys? Robbing. The robbers here are really strong. Golden class masters. Usually, golden class masters would be bodyguards for rich people. This kind of robbing was not skillful and dangerous. How could it compare to being a guard? Therefore, Lenny was very confused about their identities. We are members of the Crazy Horse Gang. Are you one of them too? The leader's tone towards Lin Yi was obviously different. Lin Yi slightly activated the art of dragon mastery. The strength of the early phase of Earth class flashed. This was to intimidate these people, so that they wouldn't dare to act rashly. Otherwise, from their tone, they seemed to belong to a local gang, a type of horse gang. There seemed to be quite a number of them. But thinking about it, there was a spirit mountain nearby, and the spirit chi of heaven and earth was abundant. It wasn't strange for some people to gather in the vicinity and borrow the spirit chi to rob foreign merchants. As long as they didn't affect the local residents, they wouldn't reject the Crazy Horse Gang. But Lin Yi didn't want to cause any trouble on the journey. He wasn't afraid of himself, but if he brought 3 girls who had no strength, it wouldn't be fun if they were ambushed by a group of horse gangs. Therefore, Lin Yi showed his strength. With the strength of an early phase of Earth class, these people wouldn't dare to act rashly no matter how daring they were. Unless they were stupid and didn't know the difference between Golden class and Earth class. Earth class early phase. Just as Lin Yi had expected, after a flash of shock passed through the leader's eyes, his tone became even more respectful. Senior, are you a guest of the Dark Palace? You know of the Dark Palace? Lin Yi asked without changing his expression. This wasn't the first time he'd heard of this name, but Lin Yi didn't know what the Dark Palace was. He could only get some information from the horse gang. The Crazy Horse Gang that I'm with makes a living here, so of course I know about the Dark Palace. The man said. We're only at the outskirts of the Dark Mountain. We won't enter the Dark Mountain's perimeter. Senior, please don't tell the Dark Palace about what happened today. If it causes trouble for the Crazy Horse Gang, then I'll be a sinner. But don't worry, Senior. I'll prepare a generous gift for you. I hope Senior won't cause trouble for my gang. After seeing Lin Yi's strength, this person didn't even have the thought of fighting against Lin Yi. The leader of the Crazy Horse Gang was only an early phase of Mystic Class Master. In front of Lin Yi, he was just going to die. Their actions here were tacitly approved by the Dark Palace. As long as they didn't enter the perimeter of the Dark Mountain, the Dark Palace wouldn't bother them. Chapter 1753. But this person was afraid that if Lin Yi provoked them, then the Wild Horse Gang would be wiped out. That was why he kept his voice low. There's no need for the gift. Let's forget about it. I'm just a guest, so I won't say anything. Lin Yi didn't say what kind of guest he was. He could be a guest of the Ice Palace, or a tourist from the town. Thank you. The man cupped his fists in relief. From what he could see, Lin Yi was an Earth class master. If he said he wouldn't care, then naturally he wouldn't care about these Golden class masters. After thanking him, they left in a hurry. Lin Yi, on the other hand, took a deep breath. It seemed like there really was an ancient sect here, called the Dark Palace. How did it compare to the Ice Palace? But even knowing this, Lin Yi didn't have the intention to visit. Putting aside the fact that he was only an Earth class early phase, that was already unreachable in the eyes of the bandits. But after witnessing the strength of the Ice Palace, he knew that his strength was only at the level of an inner disciple. It wasn't much. Thinking about this, Lin Yi was even more curious about the black phoenix in his hand. Would it really be good to eat this thing? Let's go back, Lin Yi said to Tang Yun and the others. Shield bro, the Dark Palace that the man and the hunter talked about, do they really exist? Yushu asked curiously. I think so. Lin Yi nodded. But it might be the same as the Ice Palace. Let's not ask about it. After staying here, we'll leave. Lin Yi didn't want to have too much to do with these mysterious ancient sections. At least, Lin Yi hadn't reached that level yet, so he wouldn't have anything to do with them. After the group returned to the hotel, Lin Yi started to clean up the black phoenix, preparing to make phoenix soup for everyone. For this, Lin Yi rented an induction cooker from the hotel to cook for the girls. Alright, I'm going. You guys look after the pot, and add water often. This thing is tough, so it needs to be cooked for a while, Linny said to Tang Yin and the others. Okay, Tang Yin nodded. On the other hand, Linny went back to his room. On the way, whenever he had time, Linny would go. Lin Yi's strength was at the early phase of Earth class, but it wasn't as strong as the early phase. There was still some distance between the early phase and the peak of Earth class. So Lin Yi wanted to increase his strength to the early phase of Earth class after entering the stone door. That way, when he reached the second stage of the art of dragon mastery, he could quickly reach the peak early phase. The black phoenix was indeed different from normal pheasants. It had been cooked in the pot for half an hour, and it didn't look like it was cooked. But looking after the pot was something that required a lot of patience. The three girls discussed, and two of them went to the room to watch TV, leaving one to look after the pot and add water. Tang Yun stayed here first, then Yushu after half an hour, and finally Meng Yao. After about half an hour, Tang Yun was ready to change shifts, but what she saw next stunned her. All of a sudden, Meng Yao opened the lid and took out the black phoenix, putting it in her mouth and swallowing it. Yao Yao, what are you doing? Tang Yun jumped and quickly called out. But Meng Yao didn't seem to hear anything. Her eyes were closed as if she was asleep, and her whole body looked like she was sleepwalking. Yushu heard Tang Yun scream and quickly ran out. She saw Meng Yao's weird situation and also called out. Yao Yao sis, what are you doing? Meng Yao didn't stop because of Yushu's words. She continued to put the whole black phoenix into her mouth. I'll stop her. Yushu wanted to stop Meng Yao, but Tang Yun pulled her back. Shu, hurry and find Lin Yi. Yao Yao seems to be sleepwalking. I heard that people who sleepwalk can't be woken up easily. It will cause harm to the body. Tang Yun vaguely remembered that she had read about sleepwalking in a book. Okay, I'll go find Lin Yi. Shu nodded and quickly ran to Lin Yi's room. She wanted to knock on the door, but she hesitated. Lin Yi said that he wanted to go. Would it disturb him if she knocked on the door? Shu, what's the matter? Although Lin Yi was there, he was still paying attention to the movements outside the room. Although the people from the Wild Horse Gang had left, and the chances of them coming back to cause trouble for Lin Yi were very small, Lin Yi didn't dare to let his guard down since he was always careful. However, Lin Yi didn't see the crazy horse gang, but he heard Shu's footsteps. Lin Yi's hearing was sharper than most people's, and he could distinguish the footsteps of people he was familiar with if he listened carefully, especially the way Shu was walking. Shield bro, it's bad. Yao Yao sis wants to eat it alone. Yushu heard Lin Yi's voice, so she quickly pushed the door open and said to Lin Yi. Eat it alone? What do you mean? Lin Yi was slightly stunned. You will know when you see. Yushu pulled Lin Yi out. Although Lin Yi was surprised, he still followed Yushu out of the room and went to the room next door. He was shocked by the scene in front of him. Meng Yao was swallowing the black phoenix into her stomach, and the moment Lin Yi entered the room, Meng Yao swallowed the black phoenix whole. Lin Yi was stunned, Yushu was stunned, and Tang Yun was shocked, but she didn't dare to stop it. It was hard to imagine how Meng Yao swallowed such a big black phoenix. Were her mouth and stomach that big? However, the truth was in front of him, and Lin Yi had to believe it. Yao Yao. Lin Yi tried to call, but Meng Yao didn't hear him. Her eyes were still closed, as if she was digesting the black phoenix. She stood there without moving. Lin Yi didn't know what to do with the strange scene in front of him, and he could only stand there and watch the situation unfold. After a while, Meng Yao suddenly opened her eyes, but her eyes were clear, as if she didn't see the people in the room. She turned her head and stared at one direction, and a golden color flashed in her eyes. Then, her whole body emitted a golden light, and it stopped behind her, forming a pair of golden wings, shining with dazzling light. Chapter 1754. If what happened before was shocking, Then what was happening now was even more shocking. They didn't know what happened to Meng Yao. Suddenly, Meng Yao let out a clear, crisp cry, like the cry of a bird. It made Lin Yi and the others shiver. The golden light on Meng Yao's body dimmed, and the golden wings on her back disappeared as well. She returned to her normal skin color, and with a shake of her body, she fell to the ground. The whole process lasted for about half an hour. It was only at this moment that Lin Yi dared to walk over and pick Meng Yao up from the ground. He placed her on the bed and quickly checked her body condition. But he didn't find anything out of the ordinary after checking. Meng Yao's pulse was normal, and her stomach wasn't bulging either. Her stomach was still flat. Who knew where the Black Phoenix had gone to? Or if it had been digested in just half an hour. Shield bro, how's Yao Yao sis? Yushu asked anxiously. Everything looks normal. Lin Yi shook his head and said, nothing out of the ordinary. Then just now. Tang Yun recalled what happened just now, and her heart was still pounding. It was simply too strange. It was as if Meng Yao had turned into a phoenix at that moment. Meng Yao felt like she was hallucinating. I'm not sure, maybe it's the aftereffects of eating the Black Phoenix, but from the looks of it she's fine. Lin Yi said. Then, when will she wake up? Yushu asked. I'm not sure. She looks like she's asleep now, we just need to wait for her to wake up naturally. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. He had never seen something like this before. He wouldn't have bought the Black Phoenix if he knew it was so strange. It'd be his fault if Meng Yao got sick from eating it. Then now Yushu let out a breath of relief when she heard that Meng Yao was fine. Right now I don't know. But to avoid any accidents, let's wait for her to wake up on her own. Lin Yi didn't dare to forcefully wake Meng Yao up. He was afraid that something might go wrong. Alright. I wanted to try that Black Phoenix, but it's so scary. It's a shame I didn't. Yushu said with a pat on her chest. Yao Yao, you're in big trouble now that you're eating it alone. That doesn't seem to be her intention. We talked to her, but she didn't answer. She didn't seem to have any self-awareness at the time. Tang Yun had been staying in the room to observe Meng Yao's movements, so she was the one who observed it the most carefully. That's true. Sister Yao Yao isn't someone who eats alone. Xiaoshu nodded and said, but the situation just now was really scary. I don't know what happened. Everything can only wait for Yao Yao to wake up. Lin Yi didn't know what was going on either. He shrugged and said, let's rest early. We won't be able to eat, haha. Yeah, let's rest then. We'll wait for Yao Yao sis to wake up tomorrow. Yushu nodded. Lin Yi had a lot of questions as well, but he couldn't get an answer right now. He could only wait until tomorrow. Perhaps that Black Phoenix really was some kind of spiritual beast, and they couldn't just eat it randomly. But Meng Yao accidentally ate it, and that led to the current situation. Fortunately, nothing else happened to Meng Yao other than the image she'd shown him. Lin Yi let out a sigh of relief. After returning to his room, Lin Yi continued. Lin Yi and the others, on the other hand, didn't know that something earth-shattering happened tonight. In the Palace of Darkness, when Meng Yao ate the Black Phoenix, the Great Elder hurriedly gathered Wanner, Elderly, and the other elders together. Do you guys feel anything? The Grand Elder frowned and asked. It's like the Dark Phoenix's bloodline has awakened, and it's resonating with the bloodline in my body. Wanner said carefully. Could it be that there's someone else in the Palace of Darkness who has the same bloodline as me? That's impossible. If there was, I wouldn't have to push you around every day, the Grand Elder said, because you are the only inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline, and the awakening of the Dark Phoenix's bloodline is related to the event after the Sky Class meeting. If there was someone who could replace you, I wouldn't have grounded you. The Grand Elder was telling the truth. If there was someone who could replace Wanner, she wouldn't have treated her so harshly all these years, not letting her leave the mountain at all. That's... Wanner asked carefully. I don't know. At first, I thought that the Dark Phoenix's bloodline had awakened in you. But now that I'm here, I know that's not the case. The Grand Elder shook her head, a little regretful. If you hadn't lost your virginity and given birth to a bastard with an impure bloodline, we wouldn't have ended up like this. Wanner lowered her head, not daring to refute. For the sake of love, she'd caused irreparable damage to the Palace of Darkness. if she had gotten together with the young master of the Sky Elixir School. The school had their own pills to ensure that the child's bloodline would be pure. And if she trained this child, she could awaken the Dark Phoenix's bloodline and become the inheritor. But now, Wonder could only try her best, but she still couldn't awaken the Dark Phoenix's bloodline. All right, elderly, let the Dark Shadow Group investigate what exactly happened to cause such a phenomenon. The Grand Elder said. Wonder, continue, we don't have much time left. You must quickly enter Sky Class. That's the only way to awaken the Dark Phoenix's bloodline. Yes, Wonder replied. In the entire Palace of Darkness, only her bloodline had the Dark Phoenix's bloodline. Legend had it that her ancestor had accidentally eaten a legendary Dark Phoenix spiritual beast, and thus had the bloodline of the Dark Phoenix in her body. She was able to receive the inheritance of the Dark Knight Spirit Mountain, and had a chance to step into the heavenly Tao. But after many generations of reproduction, the Dark Phoenix's bloodline was very little in Wan'er's generation. Though each generation's inheritors tried their best to preserve the purity of the bloodline, there would always be some losses. However, it was said that the Heavenly Elixir School could ask their ancestor to concoct a bone and marrow cleansing dan for Wan'er's child. However, the condition was that Wonder had to marry the young master of the Heavenly Elixir School, who was now the master. That you're tuning in to the Lee May's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.